Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Astronomer, a place where cosmic wonders unfold slowly, where science drifts like starlight, and the universe feels close enough to touch. If you enjoy these quiet journeys through time and gravity, subscribing to the Sleepy Astronomer helps this little constellation of calm grow, so others, too, can fall asleep beneath the stars of curiosity. Tonight, we're about to witness one of the most extraordinary encounters in all of astrophysics, the moment when a pulsar meets a black hole. A pulsar is no ordinary star. It's the dense, spinning heart of a dead sun, a sphere of neutron-rich matter no larger than a city, yet heavier than the sun itself. It spins with perfect rhythm, flashing beams of light into space like a cosmic lighthouse, tick by tick, pulse by pulse, marking time with the precision of eternity. But imagine that same pulsar wandering too close to a black hole, the ultimate predator of gravity. Its beams bend. Its rhythm falters. And for a moment, the cosmos itself seems to hold its breath. The black hole's pull begins to twist spacetime, bending the pulsar signals into spirals, its heartbeat distorted, stretched, redshifted, until even light begins to lose its certainty. And yet, in that struggle, scientists glimpse something priceless, a natural laboratory for gravity, a way to test Einstein's most daring ideas about the nature of reality itself. As we drift through this story, you'll see that even in the universe's most powerful collisions, there is grace, a choreography written in magnetism, energy, and time. So take a deep breath, and let the pulse of the universe guide you. The black hole waits, the pulsar spins, and between them lies one of the most mysterious dances ever witnessed. This is the Sleepy Astronomer. And tonight, we listen to the rhythm of a dying star as it meets the silence of forever. You begin in silence. Not the kind found in a quiet room or beneath a blanket of snow, but the vast silence of space, the kind that has no edges, no air, no echo. It is not empty. It hums softly, filled with invisible energy, light, and memory. Somewhere in that endless darkness, a pulse begins to reach you. A faint flash, then another, spaced perfectly apart. You might think it's a heartbeat, and in a way, it is. The source of that rhythm is a pulsar, the remnant of a star that once lived and burned like the sun, but far greater in mass. When it reached the end of its life, gravity crushed it inward. The outer layers exploded into space, while the core collapsed until atoms could no longer exist in their ordinary form. What remains is small, no wider than a city, yet denser than anything you can imagine. A single spoonful of its material would outweigh a mountain. The pulsar spins rapidly, sometimes hundreds of times each second. As it turns, beams of light sweep across space, like the rotating beam of a lighthouse. If one of those beams happens to pass over Earth, we see a brief flash, a pulse. It repeats with astonishing precision. Astronomers on Earth record these intervals and find they are more stable than even the most advanced atomic clocks. Time, in the presence of a pulsar, becomes something almost tangible. You can feel it, steady and calm, like the quiet ticking of the universe itself. You picture the pulsar floating alone, its magnetic field strong enough to twist light and bend particles. Electrons race near the speed of light, spiraling along magnetic lines, creating radio waves that travel for thousands of years before anyone receives them. Each wave is a message, an echo of a life long gone, still reaching out across the void. The universe, it seems, has found a way to remember its own history. You drift closer in your thoughts, drawn not by gravity but by curiosity. The pulsar's spin is hypnotic. You imagine standing upon its surface, though you never could. Gravity there would crush even atoms into nothing. Yet in your mind, you can feel the dizzying speed, the deep hum of rotation. The star turns so fast that if it were to slow by even the tiniest fraction, the change would be measurable across galaxies. Its stability is astonishing. A dying star has become the most reliable rhythm in the cosmos. The light from the pulsar doesn't warm or comfort in the way sunlight does. It is cold, sharp, mathematical, but there is beauty in its precision. Every flash is a reminder that order can rise from chaos, that even after destruction, patterns emerge. The star that once burned chaotically now breathes in perfect rhythm. You think of your own heartbeat, the steady rhythm within your chest, and realize that you too are made of the same atoms that once glowed in such stars. Their collapse, their fusion, their death, all of it shaped the matter that became you. You are not separate from their story. You are its continuation. Far away on Earth, scientists study pulsars with enormous radio telescopes, listening to the faint whispers of these cosmic clocks. Some use them to map the galaxy, measuring the distances between stars through tiny variations in pulse arrival times. Others use them to test the nature of gravity itself. In the regularity of the pulses, they find clues about how space bends and how time stretches. Every signal is both music and message, a record of the universe measuring itself. You imagine the vast distances involved. The nearest pulsar might be hundreds or thousands of light years away. The light you see tonight left long before humans existed, before your planet had its current shape, before oceans settled. The pulsar has been spinning patiently ever since, sending its beacon through centuries and silence. You realize that the universe does not rush. It turns and breathes on scales too great for human haste. There is something deeply calming in that, a reminder that slowness is not the same as stillness, and that the cosmos moves in rhythms that never hurry. As you continue to drift in thought, you notice that the flashes, though steady, seem to carry a kind of emotion. Not in any human sense, but in the way light persists, refusing to fade completely. Even in the emptiness between stars, the pulsar continues to speak. It doesn't know it's being watched. It doesn't care. Its rhythm is its nature, a law written into its being. You find peace in that indifference. The pulsar spins not for purpose, but because that is what it must do. Its existence is an act of simple, endless continuation. You begin to see the pattern in a larger way. The pulsar is not alone. Across the universe, there are thousands, perhaps millions of them, each with its own frequency and signature. Together they form a cosmic choir, a collection of steady voices keeping time for the galaxy. Some rotate every few seconds, others hundreds of times each second. Yet each one holds its rhythm for ages. If one slows, its change is predictable, as if the laws of the universe were conducting the orchestra. You are listening not to one star, but to the heartbeat of creation itself. The calm it brings is unexpected. You think of your own life, how moments come and go, how time feels uneven and quick. Yet here, time stretches. A second feels longer, not because it slows, but because you finally notice it. You understand that in the grand scale of things, your heartbeat and a pulsars are connected. Both are temporary expressions of the same physics. Both are motions through time, shaped by balance and gravity and the quiet persistence of energy. You close your eyes, imagining that the flashes continue beyond vision. Each one a reminder that even when light fades, the rhythm remains. You can feel it under your thoughts, like a pulse beneath silence. The universe is not cold, you realize. It is patient. It waits for understanding, for observation, for wonder. The pulsar keeps spinning, not asking to be seen, but grateful, in its own way, to exist. And as you listen to its steady whisper, something subtle begins to stir in the distance. Another gravity, deeper and quieter than this. Somewhere, beyond the reach of its light, waits a darkness that pulls even time itself. The pulsar's song continues, unaware, as if it senses the approach of a patient companion. You open your mind to that silence, and the stars seem to lean closer. The rhythm slows. The pulse softens. And somewhere beyond the light, you feel the first quiet pull of gravity waiting to speak. You return through time, leaving behind the steady rhythm of the pulsar. The light fades, and the universe rewinds. You move through clouds of gas and dust, through centuries and eons, until you reach a young, blazing star. It stands alone in the vast dark, burning with the energy of millions of suns. Its surface roils with storms larger than planets, glowing orange and white, a restless ocean of fire. This is the star that will one day become a pulsar, but for now, it still lives, proud and bright. Inside its heart, atoms of hydrogen fuse into helium, releasing light that has traveled across the galaxy. This process, nuclear fusion, is the delicate balance that holds the star together. Gravity pulls inward, heat pushes outward. For millions of years, they exist in perfect equilibrium. You can feel that harmony as you watch, a cosmic breath held between creation and collapse. But all things, even stars, have limits. As the star ages, it begins to run out of hydrogen, the simple fuel that powered its light. The balance wavers. Gravity starts to gain ground. The core grows heavier, hotter, desperate to find new sources of energy. It begins to fuse helium into carbon, carbon into oxygen, oxygen into heavier and heavier elements. The star's layers become like the rings of an ancient tree, each one the memory of a stage long past. You can almost hear the groaning of that immense structure as it struggles to hold itself up. The outer layers expand, swelling into a red supergiant. For a brief time, the star becomes enormous, its light visible for unimaginable distances. It burns brighter than ever, yet inside, instability grows. The core is forming iron, the element that ends the chain. Fusion stops giving energy. Instead, it consumes it. The star's heart begins to cool. Then comes the silence before the fall. You watch as gravity, patient for so long, finally takes over completely. The core collapses inward in less than a second. It's a motion too fast for the mind to grasp, an implosion of unimaginable power. The atoms themselves are crushed. Protons and electrons merge into neutrons. The density rises beyond comprehension. The star's inner heart, no larger than a city, now weighs more than the sun outside the collapsing heart. The layers of the star crash downward, strike the dense core, and rebound in a massive explosion, a supernova. The shockwave tears through space, blowing away everything that once was. For a moment, the light is so bright it outshines entire galaxies. You watch it unfold like a slow-motion sunrise in the void, beautiful and violent, terrible and magnificent. This is the soundless thunder of creation, the echo of collapse. The explosion spreads heavy elements, gold, iron, carbon, oxygen, into the surrounding space. Those atoms will one day form planets, oceans, air, and life. You breathe, realizing that your own body is made from this ancient fire. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the carbon in your skin, all were born in the heart of a dying star. You are the continuation of collapse, the living memory of stellar death. As the expanding cloud of gas fades, what remains at the center is small but indestructible. The outer brilliance has gone, yet the heart endures, a neutron star. It is impossibly dense, its surface gravity so strong that a single step would be impossible. The magnetic fields whip around it with unimaginable power, trapping radiation and energy. The star spins faster as it shrinks, conserving the momentum of its past life, like an ice skater pulling in their arms. You begin to recognize this new rhythm. It's the same steady beat you heard in the last chapter, the whispering pulse of the cosmos. The pulsar is born here, in this still glowing wreckage. It is both grave and rebirth, silence and song. The light that once burned freely now shines in disciplined rhythm, flashing through space like a clock built from starlight. You feel the lesson within it. Endings are not empty. The universe does not destroy without reason. Every collapse, every failure of balance, becomes the foundation for something new. Gravity is not a destroyer. It is a sculptor, shaping matter into new forms of meaning. You watch the pulsar stabilize, its light flickering evenly now. Around it, the debris of the old star drifts away, carrying seeds of new worlds. The silence that follows the supernova is peaceful, not mournful. It is the kind of silence that exists after understanding, the stillness that comes when everything has changed. You imagine yourself floating amid that expanding cloud, surrounded by glowing threads of gas and dust. The colors fade from brilliant orange to deep red, then to faint blue and finally to black. You realize that somewhere in that dust, the ingredients for future suns are already gathering. Even destruction has left creation in its wake. In the far distance, you see another star, massive and bright, not unlike this one before it died. You know its fate will be the same, a future written in fusion and gravity. Every star lives this story, each one unique, yet following the same quiet laws. The pattern repeats endlessly across the universe: birth, balance, exhaustion, collapse. There is beauty in its inevitability, peace in its order. The echo of the supernova fades, leaving the newborn pulsar spinning in the dark. It sends its first true pulse, a signal of survival, a rhythm of rebirth. The waves travel outward for light years, passing through gas clouds, through silence, through time itself. Eventually, those waves will reach someone watching, listening, wondering. Someone like you. You take one last look at the scene, the remnants of the explosion slowly dispersing, the core still glowing faintly. You think of the balance that once held this star together, and how even when it broke, something more stable emerged. The collapse did not erase the star, it transformed it. As the light fades, you feel time begin to move forward again. The pulsar's rhythm grows steadier, its beams sweeping the darkness. You begin to follow them, drifting closer to its sound. You sense another presence far away, not a star, but a deep, invisible gravity waiting in silence. The universe, it seems, is preparing another meeting, another story. And in that quiet pull toward what lies beyond, you understand that even collapse is not the end. It is the beginning of motion, the first step in the long journey toward the black hole's waiting calm. The universe is never silent, it moves in quiet patterns, hidden rhythms, invisible clocks. You drift alongside one of them now, tracing the pulses that travel endlessly through space. Each flash from the pulsar arrives with astonishing precision, as if the cosmos itself were keeping time. You watch, and every few seconds, a beam of light sweeps across your path, steady, unwavering, patient. The pulses are more than flashes, they are measurements of existence. Astronomers call these stars cosmic clocks, because their rotations are so regular that even the best instruments on Earth struggle to match their accuracy. The pulsar's spin is its heartbeat, and in each pulse lies the passing of a perfect moment. No drift, no randomness, only rhythm, pure and enduring. You imagine standing somewhere far away, with a telescope pointed toward this distant star. You watch its light blink through the night sky, marking seconds across thousands of light years. If you could listen closely, you'd hear those pulses like the steady tick of a universal metronome. Time, in this corner of space, is defined not by calendars or memory, but by rotation, by the simple, continuous turning of a dying star. It is strange, you think, how something born from collapse can become such a symbol of constancy. The pulsar's perfect rhythm is the aftermath of chaos. Its core, crushed into neutrons, spins faster the smaller it becomes, like an ice skater pulling her arms close, turning quicker and quicker. That conservation of angular momentum transforms tragedy into order. Out of destruction comes precision. The laws of physics turn loss into beauty. You begin to sense how deeply connected time and motion truly are. The star spins, space curves around it, and the pulses radiate outward, marking each revolution like ripples in a vast pond. Even across unimaginable distances, the timing remains almost exact. But there are tiny changes, so subtle they can only be detected after years of observation. The pulsar's spin slows, ever so slightly, as it gives away energy through its radiation. The ticks of its cosmic clock stretch, one after another, each pulse a little later than before. Time, it seems, has texture, not a rigid flow, but a gentle drift shaped by energy, gravity, and decay. On Earth, scientists listen. Great radio telescopes stretch their metal arms to the sky, tuned to frequencies that catch the pulsar's whispers. A single pulse might be faint, almost lost in the background hiss of the universe, but gathered together, they form a pattern. That pattern tells stories, how the pulsar moves, how far it is, how its spin slows. Some even orbit companions, stars, or planets, or other remnants, and the timing of their pulses reveals invisible motion, the gravitational tug of unseen partners. You think of these signals crossing space, traveling for thousands of years before they arrive. The pulsar has been dead for longer than you can imagine, yet its heartbeat continues to reach across time. The light you see now left before your species existed, before your planet cooled, before mountains rose and seas formed. The pulse you feel is ancient, yet alive in the present moment. Time is not only what passes, it is what connects. You start to wonder what time really is. You can feel it in the beat of your heart, the slow drift of your breath, the changes of light in the sky. But here, in this vastness, time behaves differently. Near massive objects, like pulsars or black holes, it bends. Gravity slows the flow of time, a truth predicted by Einstein and confirmed by observation. If you stood close to the pulsar, time for you would move a little slower than for someone far away. Seconds would stretch, imperceptibly but surely. The stronger the gravity, the slower the clock. Even time, you realize, listens to mass. It's a humbling thought, that something as steady as time can change depending on where you stand. The pulsar keeps its rhythm, yet the universe hears it differently from every place. Distance, motion, and gravity twist the intervals ever so slightly. The speed of light stays constant, but time dances around it, bending to keep balance. It's as though the universe insists on harmony. When one thing changes, another compensates, and the music continues. You remember the clocks on Earth, the ticking seconds, the hands circling faces, the digital numbers blinking quietly on your screens. They measure human life, not cosmic time. Yet all of them are reflections of this same universal rhythm. The pulsar doesn't care for minutes or hours, but its light has been measuring eternity long before humans built tools to count it. You realize that your life is a short verse in the poem of time, a verse written with atoms that once pulsed in stars like this one. As you drift closer in imagination, the pulses grow brighter. Each one bursts across space like a heartbeat of the universe. You notice something you hadn't before. Between the flashes, there is not darkness, but anticipation. The interval itself carries meaning. It's the waiting that makes the light significant, the space between moments that gives rhythm its grace. You start to feel that perhaps time isn't measured by what happens, but by what doesn't. The pause between pulses, the breath between thoughts, the silence between heartbeats, that is where time truly lives. The pulsar's magnetic field hums around it, shaping light into narrow beams. Each time it spins, the beams sweep across the sky like the arms of a clock, though here the clock has no hands, no face, no numbers. Only rotation. Only motion. The concept is simple, yet profound. Everything that spins marks time. From the smallest electron to the largest galaxy, movement defines duration. Stillness, in the universe, is an illusion. Even in quiet, everything turns. You begin to sense a deeper rhythm beneath the visible one, a universal tempo that ties all motion together. Your body, your planet, your star, your galaxy, all of it moving, spinning, orbiting, pulsing. Each with its own time, yet all part of the same cosmic choreography. The The pulsar is not separate from you. It is a reflection of the same laws that guide your breath and heartbeat. Its rhythm is yours, just stretched across scales too vast to feel. The longer you listen, the more you notice the softness within the precision. The light, though steady, sometimes wavers, tiny irregularities that reveal subtle truths. The universe, even at its most mathematical, carries imperfection like a melody slightly out of tune. Those variations are what scientists use to explore the shape of spacetime itself. When a pulsar's timing shifts, it can mean that something enormous has passed between. Perhaps a gravitational wave, a ripple in spacetime caused by massive objects colliding. The pulsar, unknowingly, becomes a sensor, recording the faint tremors of cosmic motion. You imagine those waves stretching through you now, gentle, invisible distortions of reality itself. Space expands, then contracts, and your sense of time stretches with it. The pulsar continues to flash, indifferent, constant, precise. You realize that even as the universe moves, its rhythm never truly breaks. It only shifts, adapts, continues. You look once more toward the light, counting the pulses as they sweep past. They are seconds, hours, centuries, all the same here. Each flash carries the memory of collapse and the promise of endurance. Time, like the pulsar, does not vanish. It transforms, becoming softer, wider, infinite. And as the last pulse fades into the distance, you feel another kind of pull, a slower, deeper rhythm beneath the surface. It is gravity's whisper, patient and irresistible, calling across light years. Somewhere out there, a darker force waits, shaping even the flow of time. You listen closely. The pulses continue, steady, gentle, but now their sound seems to echo against something unseen. The rhythm meets resistance, the edges of another presence. You realize that the next beat will not travel freely through space. It will curve, drawn toward the quiet hunger of gravity. You drift deeper into the cosmic dark, where light itself begins to bow. The pulse of the distant star fades behind you, its rhythm stretched thin by distance. Ahead, something vast pulls on the fabric of space. It does not speak or shine. It simply waits. You can't see it, but you can feel it, a soft, unrelenting tug that reaches through the void. This is gravity, the quiet hunger of the universe. Gravity has no sound, no color, no scent. Yet it is the most persistent force you will ever know. It doesn't ask permission. It simply draws. Every atom in your body feels its pull, every planet dances to its rhythm. It is the thread that sews the cosmos together, holding moons to planets, planets to stars, stars to galaxies. It is the reason anything can orbit, the reason time can bend, the reason space has shape. You might imagine gravity as weight, but it is more than that. It's not a downward force. Not really. It's a curve, a bending of the stage on which existence performs. Einstein showed that space and time are not separate, but one fabric, space-time. And gravity is the way mass tells space-time how to curve. The greater the mass, the deeper the curve. So when you fall, you are not being pushed or pulled. You are simply following the path that space-time has already drawn for you. You are sliding along the gentle slope of reality itself. Here, in the dark, you sense that slope growing steeper. Somewhere ahead, mass has become extreme, too dense, too compressed. A star, perhaps, that has died and folded inward under its own weight. The core of that star, once bright and burning, has collapsed into a point where gravity has won completely. A black hole. The hunger that not even light can escape. Yet even now, there is no violence here. The pull is quiet, elegant, inevitable. You drift closer, and the stars behind you stretch and warp. Space itself feels like liquid glass, rippling and curving. Time begins to behave strangely, slowing as you approach. The pulses from the neutron star you left behind seem to fade into an endless interval. From your perspective, everything beyond the event horizon moves slower, as if caught in an eternal pause. You are beginning to see time as gravity sees it, not as a constant, but as something elastic. Near massive objects, moments lengthen. Seconds stretch like threads of silk, drawn thinner and thinner until they almost vanish. You move forward, but the universe around you feels suspended, a dream caught between one heartbeat and the next. There is no edge here, only the gradual thickening of space. You cross invisible lines, each one marking a place where gravity grows stronger. The light of distant galaxies bends around the unseen center, forming arcs and circles called Einstein rings. They are cosmic mirages, the result of light obeying gravity's geometry. You are surrounded by distorted beauty, galaxies repeating themselves, stars curving into halos. The universe looks back at you through its own lens. You think of how this same force shapes everything familiar. The ground beneath your feet, the orbit of your moon, the tides that rise and fall, all are whispers of this same quiet hunger. On Earth, you feel gravity as a gentle tether, keeping you close to home. In space, that tether becomes the architecture of everything. It builds galaxies like cities of light, each star circling an unseen center. Even dark matter, that mysterious, invisible substance, reveals itself through gravity's pull, outlining structures you cannot see but know must exist. Gravity is patient. It never rushes. It waits billions of years for stars to form, to burn, to die, and to fall inward. It is both the destroyer and the sculptor, tearing apart with one hand, creating with the other. When a star collapses, its material doesn't disappear. It becomes something new, something dense beyond imagination. Gravity turns fire into silence, brightness into invisibility. And yet, nothing is lost. The universe is always rearranging itself, never erasing, only changing shape. As you hover near the event horizon, the point where escape becomes impossible, you feel the strange duality of it all. To an outside observer, you would seem frozen, hovering forever at the edge. But to you, time continues. You fall inward, endlessly, smoothly, peacefully. There is no sensation of crossing a line. Only the gradual surrender to the curve. You realize now that gravity is not a force that drags you down, it is a call home. Everything that falls is simply returning to where it belongs. The stars fall back into the galaxies they were born from. Matter falls back into energy. Even you, in your quiet drifting, are part of this great return. The pull you feel is not destruction, it is belonging. And as you sink deeper, you think about the paradox of black holes, that in their darkness, they reveal the most light. Not visible light, but knowledge. By studying how matter moves near them, scientists have mapped the unseen. They have watched stars orbit invisible points, seen hot gas swirl around unseen mouths, listened to gravitational waves ringing out from cosmic collisions. Every ripple tells a story, of mass, of motion, of time twisting under pressure. You imagine that story unfolding inside you. Your thoughts, your heartbeat, your breath, all responding to unseen curves. Gravity isn't something outside of you. It is the quiet structure of your being. Your body presses softly against the earth because it and the planet are in conversation, exchanging motion, balancing the dance. You are never apart from gravity. You are made of it. The pull grows stronger. The light of the stars begins to redden, stretched by time itself. Photons, the smallest packets of light, struggle to climb away. Each one grows weaker, dimmer, until finally they cannot escape at all. This is the event horizon, the place where time and space fold into one another. Beyond it, no messages return, no clocks tick, no distance remains. You pause there, not in fear, but in awe. This is not a border of destruction, but a veil of transformation. What lies beyond is not known, not fully, not yet. But everything you've seen tells you that even here, the universe continues to create. At the edge of nothingness, energy swirls, particles shimmer, and space hums softly. Even emptiness is never truly empty. You imagine falling inward, through the curve, through the silence. You would not notice when you crossed the horizon. You would simply continue, carried by the same gravity that has guided every orbit, every fall, every heartbeat since time began. The hunger is not cruel, it is constant. It asks for everything, but gives meaning in return. And just before the last light fades, you realize something profound. Gravity does not end things, it connects them. Every fall is part of a great emotion. Every loss, a continuation in another form. You are not being consumed, you are becoming part of a deeper whole. The pull softens, and for a moment, everything feels still. You float in quiet suspension, aware that even in the heart of darkness, the universe listens. Somewhere beyond this horizon, energy still flickers. Particles still dance. The story does not stop here. The silence deepens, not empty, but waiting. The hunger has not vanished, it has changed. From deep within, something stirs, a strange, twisting rhythm that seems to echo even through gravity's grasp. You listen closely. It is the sound of space itself beginning to tremble. You drift once more into the soft dark, where time flows with the pulse of distance. Ahead, two bodies turn, a pulsar, steady in its shining rhythm, and a black hole, silent as the shadow of eternity. They are bound now, not by choice but by the inevitable law that governs all things, gravity's longing. Around each other they revolve, tracing invisible loops through the quiet ocean of spacetime. At first, the orbit is gentle, vast and slow, like two dancers circling before the music begins. The pulsar's light flashes rhythmically, sweeping across the darkness in steady beams. The black hole, unseen but immense, curves space so deeply that even those beams bend around it, wrapping light into arcs of gold. The two objects acknowledge each other not through touch, but through gravity, the universal conversation between mass and motion. Every revolution brings them closer. You can't hear it, but the space between them hums with invisible tension. The pulsar's heartbeat, once so constant, begins to feel a faint irregularity, not weakness, but response. The black hole's pull distorts its rhythm, stretching time, twisting light. Around and around they move, the pulsar's light sweeping the black hole like a cosmic lighthouse scanning a dark shore. If you could listen to this dance, it would not sound like music made of air, but of fabric, the very fabric of space-time trembling with their motion. With each orbit, they release gravitational waves, ripples that move outward faster than sound, carrying with them the story of two massive hearts entwined. These waves are unimaginably faint by the time they reach faraway worlds, but they carry truth, a record of motion, of mass, of the universe itself remembering. You imagine standing far away, billions of light years distant, on some quiet planet where scientists listen to the cosmos through instruments vast and sensitive. There, in the silence of deep night, the faint whisper of these ripples might reach them. Not as sound, but as rhythm. A tiny change in distance, a fraction of an atom, as space-time stretches and relaxes under the waves. The Earth itself, imperceptibly, breathes with the orbit of these two celestial beings. The pulsar feels the pull stronger now. Its light grows more focused, its timing altered by gravity's insistence. With each rotation, it loses energy, radiating away not only light but motion. The black hole responds with patience, pulling just enough to curve the path a little tighter. The orbit shrinks. The dance quickens. And yet, for all its power, the scene is calm. There are no explosions, no violence. The universe prefers grace to spectacle. You drift beside them and watch their paths weave like threads in a tapestry too vast to comprehend. Each orbit is a line of meaning, drawn in gravity's ink. Each pulse of light is a note in a song that only the universe can hear. You realize that this orbit is not merely movement, it is communication. Gravity is the language, and every motion is a word. The pulsar tells the black hole, I am here, I am spinning, I am light. The black hole replies without words, only with presence, I am gravity, I am curve, I am silence. Together, they compose something that feels like devotion, not emotional, but eternal. In their closeness, time itself begins to change pace. The pulsar's internal clock slows, its seconds lengthening as gravity deepens. For you, watching from afar, the rotations seem faster, each beam sweeping space more rapidly. Yet to the pulsar, the rhythm feels steady. Time, you learn, is not absolute. It bends to the weight of what exists. In that realization, you see the universe not as a machine of fixed rules, but as a symphony of relative moments. The distance between them decreases, from thousands of kilometers, to hundreds, to mere tens. Their gravitational fields begin to merge. Space itself between them warps like soft fabric pulled taut. The pulsar, still shining, begins to feel the black hole's hunger as a deepening distortion of its shape. It elongates slightly, stretched by invisible hands. Its beams of light twist, curving around unseen geometry. Still, it spins. Still, it shines. Even as it falls closer, its rhythm persists, steady, defiant, alive. You feel a strange tenderness watching this persistence. The pulsar knows no fear, no will, no resistance, and yet it endures, embodying the law that even in surrender, there can be beauty. The gravitational waves grow stronger now. Each orbit releases a pulse of energy that ripples outward, shaking spacetime like wind across a still pond. Those waves carry more than power, they carry memory. If you could translate them, they would tell of mass and spin, of closeness and collapse. They would whisper of how the universe records every movement in its endless archive. Scientists on far-off worlds will one day decode these ripples, mapping the last orbits before union. They will see the pulsar's timing shift, its pulses arriving slightly earlier, then later, then earlier again. They will measure the pattern and know that something extraordinary occurred, that two cosmic giants once danced in silence, shaping space-time with their steps. You imagine yourself as one of those scientists, looking at the data, numbers and curves that translate into motion. You would realize that you are witnessing a story billions of years old, told not in light or sound, but in gravity itself. You would understand that even the emptiness of space is full of connection. Nothing happens alone. Every movement, every orbit, every flicker of light affects something else, somewhere, somehow. The pulsar's light wavers, now bending so sharply around the black hole that it forms a ghostly ring, an echo of itself circling endlessly. The two are nearly inseparable. Their centers of mass converge, their speeds increase, and the waves of gravity surge outward with greater amplitude. You can almost feel the rhythm, a deep, slow heartbeat of the cosmos, quickening as the end approaches. There is a kind of peace in this inevitability. Fate, you realize, is not punishment. It is fulfillment. The orbit tightens, not out of cruelty, but because gravity completes its purpose, to unite what was always destined to meet. The pulsar's rhythm accelerates, a final crescendo in the cosmic dance. You drift beside them as they spin faster, their paths becoming indistinguishable. Light bends, time stretches, gravity sings. The waves spreading outward grow more pronounced, not chaotic, but patterned, like ripples in perfect symmetry. It is as if the universe holds its breath, watching, listening. And then you notice something subtle. Between the pulses, there is a change. The silence between them grows shorter, the intervals collapsing. You feel it like the quickening of a heartbeat before sleep. Something momentous is near. The two bodies, once separate, are now one rhythm. Their motions have synchronized completely. The pulsar's light flickers across the black hole's edge, half swallowed, half reflected. The distinction between the two begins to blur. You close your eyes and feel the vibration through your being, a deep, resonant hum that seems to travel through you, not around you. It is the soundless song of gravity, the invisible harmony that underlies everything. The waves stretch outward, eternal, carrying the memory of motion through space-time. In their orbit, you feel the essence of all orbits, planets, moons, hearts, atoms, everything that circles, pulled by something unseen. It is the same story, written in different scales. The pull of connection. The surrender to gravity. The beauty of closeness. And as the dance nears its end, you sense that something within the black hole stirs, a deeper resonance, an even quieter hunger. The orbits are no longer just motion, they are destiny unfolding. You watch, weightless and still, as the pulsar completes one last perfect circle. Its light flares, brilliant, unwavering, before curving into the waiting dark. The waves grow stronger, the rhythm steadier, and in that trembling calm, you realize that what comes next is not collapse, but music. Space-time begins to tremble. Not violently, but with a deep and ancient rhythm, the kind you don't hear with your ears but sense with your entire being. Two cosmic bodies, a pulsar and a black hole, are locked in orbit. Each revolution sends ripples outward, waves of gravity stretching and relaxing the very structure of existence. You imagine yourself floating in that silent sea. There is no sound, yet you feel vibration, the push and pull of something immense and unseen. The waves move through everything, galaxies, dust, atoms, even through you. They carry no light, no heat, and yet they carry stories. Far away, on Earth, detectors like LIGO and Virgo are built to listen. They are not listening for sound but for movement, the tiniest shift of space itself. When the waves from such collisions reach them, they make mirrors quiver by less than the width of a proton. And yet, that whisper is enough to reveal an event that happened billions of years ago. In your mind, these waves become music, not played with instruments, but with gravity itself. The pitch rises as the two bodies spiral closer, the tempo quickens, and the universe becomes a grand stage for this invisible symphony. It's as if space-time is alive, breathing, resonating to its own heartbeat. The pulsar's flashes quicken. Its beams sweep across eternity like a lighthouse struggling against the storm of curvature. Each pulse tells of immense motion, the neutron star spinning hundreds of times each second, dragging the fabric of space around with it. Yet, as the black hole's gravity grows stronger, the pulses begin to distort, their rhythm stretched and twisted by time itself. Closer and closer they dance. You picture the black hole, silent and consuming, and the pulsar, luminous and steadfast. Between them, the waves grow in strength, radiating outward like expanding circles on a cosmic ocean. They are not chaos, they are order written in motion. The universe, through these ripples, is playing a melody composed by gravity and time. You drift with the waves as they travel across galaxies. They pass through nebulae and clusters, through ancient starlight and dark matter. They stretch the space between atoms and then let it relax, over and over again. No one can see them, yet their presence shapes everything. In this moment, you realize, gravity is not just a force. It is communication, a dialogue between masses, a conversation written in motion and curvature. Every orbit, every fall, every collision speaks through these waves. They are the universe's way of remembering its most powerful events. The pulsar and black hole draw nearer still. The waves become more frequent, their energy rising. If you could translate their rhythm into sound, you would hear a rising tone, a chirp that climbs until it ends abruptly in silence. That silence would not be absence but conclusion, the final note of a performance that took millions of years to prepare. You close your eyes and listen. The waves pass through you. They do not disturb, They connect. Somewhere, another civilization may be listening too, sensing these same tremors, interpreting them as evidence that they are not alone in a cold and distant cosmos. Space-time continues its silent concert. You are both audience and instrument, for every atom in your body responds to gravity's pull, every moment of your life shaped by invisible curvature. The same rhythm that governs black holes governs the fall of a raindrop, the orbit of your planet, the beat of your heart. In the end, you understand the truth of this cosmic music. It is everywhere, always, resonating through every form and every silence. You are not outside of it. You are part of the song. The pulsar and the black hole move closer now, their orbits so tight that every second brings a change in the structure of space around them. The gravitational waves that once pulsed gently now surge outward in steady, growing rhythm. The universe itself seems to hold its breath. From afar, their dance looks calm, two small points circling each other in darkness. But up close, the forces are immense beyond comprehension. The pulsar's magnetic field, once stable, begins to twist and buckle. Beams of light that once swept through the cosmos now bend, drawn inward by the black hole's gravity. Each revolution pulls them faster, each moment stretching time further. You imagine standing near the event horizon, where light struggles to escape. The pulsar's flashes come slower now, distorted by the bending of time. Seconds for the pulsar become hours for you, and then years. You are caught in the strange, beautiful distortion of relativity, where motion itself changes how reality feels. Inside the pulsar, atomic matter is under extreme pressure, denser than any substance in the known universe. Its atoms are crushed, its neutrons locked in a desperate balance between collapse and resistance. But that balance cannot last forever. The black hole's pull grows stronger with every orbit, every heartbeat of gravity. As you watch, the distance between them shrinks to almost nothing. The pulsar's light flickers, each flash stretched into a curved halo that wraps around the black hole like a glowing ring. The space between them trembles, filled with invisible tension, the same tension that exists before a raindrop falls or a star is born. It is the moment before everything changes. Time itself begins to bend. To you, the scene slows down, as if the universe wants to witness this final movement in perfect detail. To the pulsar, everything is happening at once. Motion, light, collapse, surrender. The gravitational waves reach their peak. If you could translate them into sound, the tone would climb higher and higher, then pause, hovering just before the climax. This is the stillness before union, the instant between what was and what will be. You imagine what the pulsar feels, if feeling can exist for such an object. It has circled for millions of years, its light touching the edges of galaxies. Now it faces its final orbit, the inevitable meeting with darkness. But there is no fear, only continuation. For in this universe, every ending leads to transformation. Astronomers on distant worlds might see its light change, growing fainter, redder, distorted by gravity's lens. To them, this last moment will seem to last forever, the pulsar frozen at the edge of the event horizon, never quite falling in. To you, here in the heart of it, time flows differently. You see the fall as it happens, continuous, unstoppable. The black hole's gravity bends even the concept of now. Cause and effect begin to blur. Light from the pulsar's final flashes loops around, showing you echoes of its own past. You see moments replayed, pulses from seconds ago, now bent into arcs of repeating light. It is as if the universe itself is reluctant to let go. Space narrows into a funnel of distortion. The stars around twist, stretching into spirals of motion and memory. Every photon, every wave of energy bends toward the same destination. The pulsar's form elongates, torn by tidal forces stronger than anything else in existence. Yet even in this destruction, there is grace. You find yourself wondering, what lies beyond this moment? What does it mean for two singularities, two extremes of nature, to touch. Physics can describe their mass, their motion, their energy, but not the instant of their meeting. That point lies beyond all calculation. It is where time itself hesitates, uncertain whether to move forward or stop entirely. The final orbit completes. The gravitational waves reach their highest frequency, their most powerful amplitude. Across the universe, detectors will soon register a faint ripple, a whisper of this immense collision. For now, all you sense is tension, the last note before the song ends. The pulsar's light flickers one last time. Around it, the glow bends into a perfect circle, a halo of defiance around infinite gravity. The black hole opens like a gate, not swallowing but merging. And then, stillness. No explosion, no flash. Only silence that feels deeper than before. You realize that in this single, frozen instant, before the pulsar disappears, everything is connected. The force that shaped galaxies, that pulled planets into orbit, that holds your own feet to the Earth, is the same force now closing this story. The pulsar has not died. It has simply crossed a threshold where meaning, time, and matter take new forms. The universe pauses, waiting to see what will emerge from the dark. This is the moment before touch, the inhale before collapse, the last breath before transformation. The pulsar drifts toward the edge, the event horizon, that invisible boundary where space folds into itself. You can no longer think of its motion as falling. It does not drop like a stone through water. It dissolves like mist meeting the sea. Gravity no longer pulls in the ordinary sense. It curves reality until inward and forward mean the same thing. You hover at a distance, watching light stretch thin, red, and tired. Every photon from the pulsar struggles to escape, climbing a hill that grows steeper each moment. To an outside observer, the pulsar never truly crosses that threshold. It slows, its light dimming into an endless freeze. But from the pulsar's own perspective, time rushes forward, unstoppable, a smooth slide into the unknown. You imagine what this descent feels like, not pain, not fear, but surrender. The laws of physics guide every motion, silent and exact. As the pulsar nears the horizon, tidal forces stretch it, pulling one side harder than the other. Its perfect shape elongates. The particles within it, neutrons packed tighter than atomic nuclei, begin to unweave. Matter that once resisted collapse now yields to inevitability. The black hole does not roar or flash. It does not devour with violence. It absorbs quietly, as if the universe itself prefers subtle endings. Space bends softly around it, light curving in elegant spirals before vanishing. If you could see the fabric of spacetime directly, it would resemble a whirlpool, not chaotic, but smooth, precise, graceful. The pulsar's magnetic field, once immense, distorts as it falls. Field lines twist and snap, releasing bursts of radiation. For an instant, energy flares brighter than all the stars in a galaxy combined. Yet even this flash bends inward, swallowed by gravity before it reaches the cosmos. Only a faint whisper of that power escapes, a final signal broadcast to infinity. Time distorts further. Inside the horizon, direction loses meaning. Future and down become the same. Every path leads to the center, the singularity, where the density of matter and the curvature of space reach infinity. It is not a point in space but a limit of understanding. Physics cannot follow there. Equations break apart. You watch from the edge, knowing that beyond it, even light has no future. To cross it would mean leaving behind the universe you know, the one governed by cause, distance, and time. Yet the black hole's gravity is not malicious. It is simply nature's deepest expression of inevitability. It shows what happens when mass and energy have nowhere left to go. As the pulsar disappears, something extraordinary occurs. The black hole trembles. Its spin changes, its horizon expands slightly. The energy and angular momentum of the pulsar do not vanish. They merge with the whole, altering its rhythm. The entire structure of spacetime adjusts, like fabric stretching to accommodate new weight. If you could listen, you would hear the last echoes of gravitational waves fade into silence. Their energy moves outward, rippling through galaxies, carrying the story of what has happened. Somewhere, millions of light-years away, instruments will one day record those tremors. Data will show a pattern, a rising tone, a final burst, then calm. And from that pattern, scientists will reconstruct this moment, the fall of a pulsar into a black hole. You close your eyes, imagining the perspective of the pulsar in its final seconds. From within, the universe looks strange. Light no longer travels straight. Instead, it bends back upon itself. The stars seem to slide around in slow spirals. Ahead lies the singularity, not a place of fire or destruction, but a collapse of all distinction. Time no longer passes, it folds. Space no longer stretches, it stops. And yet, there is continuity. Matter transforms, energy redistributes, momentum persists. The pulsar becomes part of the black hole's being, its mass, its spin, its gravity. The rhythm that once pulsed across the galaxy now hums from within the event horizon. It is not gone, it has simply changed form. You realize that in the universe, disappearance is never absolute. Energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. Even the black hole, vast and final, cannot erase what enters it. It holds information in ways not yet understood, woven into its surface, encoded in the geometry of spacetime itself. The silence after the merger feels different. It is not emptiness, but fullness, like the pause between notes in a song, the quiet moment when the melody prepares to begin again. The universe, in its immense patience, allows this silence to last. The waves fade. The light is gone. But the presence remains. The black hole now carries the memory of what it has consumed. Its horizon rotates faster, smoother, reflecting the spin of the pulsar it has absorbed. The two have become one, a single, heavier, more perfect shape. You can almost sense the balance of forces settling into a new harmony. You wonder if the pulsar knew, in its final instant, that it was completing a cycle rather than ending one. The atoms within it had once been forged in the heart of earlier stars. Those stars, too, had burned, collapsed, and transformed. Perhaps this was simply another step in that eternal rhythm, matter returning to gravity, gravity returning to space. As you watch the last trace of light vanish, you feel no sadness. Instead, there is calm. The universe does not rush. It does not grieve. It flows, reshapes, continues. The darkness before you is not void, but transformation. And then, for a moment, you notice something faint, a subtle shimmer near the horizon, like a ripple across still water. It is not light as you know it, but the hint of energy rearranging itself. Perhaps it is the beginning of something new, forming in the silence left behind. The fall is complete. The pulsar is gone, yet its essence remains in the gravity it left behind. Space curves a little differently now. Time flows a little slower. The cosmos adjusts, indifferent yet beautiful. You take one final look at the black hole, calm, massive, quiet, and understand that endings in the universe are never absolute. They are transitions. They are exchanges between what can be seen and what can only be imagined. The darkness does not consume. It integrates. It holds what once was and prepares what will be. And as the last echo of motion fades into stillness, you sense that from this silence, something profound is waiting to begin. Long after the pulsar has vanished into the black hole, the universe still carries the trace of its existence. You cannot see the star anymore, but its final signals are still moving outward, traveling across billions of kilometers of empty space. Each wave, each ripple of radiation, is a fragment of memory, light remembering where it came from. In distant galaxies, instruments will one day capture these faint, stretched pulses. To scientists, they appear as tiny distortions in data, mere blips of information. But you know their origin. They are the last heartbeats of a once-living star, its rhythm carried by gravity and light long after the source itself has disappeared. It is strange, you think, that the universe remembers so well. Even when matter collapses and energy fades, the record remains, etched into spacetime itself. Every photon that ever left the pulsar is still traveling somewhere. Some will pass through gas clouds, scattering into color. Some will brush the surface of a distant planet, unseen, before moving on. Some will reach no destination at all, continuing forever into the dark. To the black hole, the pulsar is gone. It has become mass, spin, and momentum within a larger body. But outside, the light it once sent still moves freely, a ghost of motion, unbound by time. You imagine these photons drifting like drifting memories, each one carrying a story from before the fall. Astronomers call this remnant energy afterglow. It is faint, fading, yet persistent. For a while, it can be traced. A pattern of gravitational waves may still echo, stretching space by less than the width of a proton. Such a small vibration, yet powerful enough to travel across the entire universe. That is how the cosmos communicates, softly, precisely, patiently. If you close your eyes, you can almost hear it. The steady hum of space settling after the collision. The slow fade of energy into equilibrium. The aftersound of an event so massive that it shook the structure of reality itself. It is not noise, it is history in motion. You think of how memory works, in people, in nature, in the universe. Every experience leaves a trace, sometimes invisible, sometimes lasting forever. A mountain records the wind in its shape. A tree records the light in its rings. Space-time records the movement of stars. The pulsar's final pulse is simply one more entry in that infinite archive. Light travels without aging, without forgetting. To the photon, time does not pass. It was emitted ages ago, yet from its perspective, it is still leaving the star right now. That means that in some strange way, the pulsar still exists, in the eternal present of the light it released. You imagine traveling with that light. It rushes through interstellar dust, through the edges of nebulae glowing with hydrogen. It passes the shadows of cold planets and the bright arcs of new stars forming. Each place it touches changes slightly because of it. The photon carries energy, yes, but also memory, the record of where it began and the mark of where it has gone. Even the black hole itself remembers, though not in any visible way. Physicists believe that information about everything that falls in is encoded on the event horizon, hidden within its geometry. The surface area of the black hole, they say, contains the clues, not destroyed, only transformed into unreadable form. The memory of the pulsar may now be woven into that invisible boundary, written in gravity rather than light. You realize how comforting that is. Nothing truly vanishes. The universe may change its forms endlessly, but it does not forget. Energy becomes structure, matter becomes motion, light becomes history. Far away, on some world orbiting another star, an astronomer might detect a strange pulse. They might notice a brief irregularity in the cosmic background, a soft echo from deep space. They will give it a name, record its coordinates, publish their findings. They won't know they are listening to the last memory of a pulsar that once danced with a black hole, but the signal will tell the truth quietly, through numbers and graphs. You picture that faint pulse traveling still, crossing light years of silence. It is so small, so delicate, yet indestructible. Even now, long after the event, the light continues, a message written in the oldest language of all. The pulsar's story is not over. Its energy has become the black hole's spin, its matter has become mass, and its light still travels outward, carrying its name across the dark. You feel a quiet sense of balance, that every loss in the universe is accompanied by a continuation elsewhere. The cosmos, in its vastness, ensures that nothing is wasted. Every particle, every wave, every trace of radiation contributes to something greater. Even silence carries echoes. Even darkness contains the memory of brightness. You understand now that death, in the cosmic sense, is only a change in form. The pulsar's light endures, not as a star, but as a memory written into the very texture of reality. And somewhere, beyond your reach, a photon from that last pulse continues its endless journey, untouched by time. It carries with it the memory of motion, of rhythm, of a heartbeat that once was. You watch the darkness where the pulsar used to be and realize the truth. What disappears from sight never disappears from existence. Its light is still on its way. And perhaps, somewhere in the distance, it will find a new world to illuminate, just as another memory begins to rise. Where two once spun in a fierce and luminous dance, now only one remains. The black hole, heavier and quieter, drifts in the same space where the pulsar once shone. Around it, spacetime ripples fade into calm, the last waves stretching farther and farther until they vanish into the background hum of the cosmos. For a long while, nothing moves. It feels as if the universe itself pauses to take a breath. You can sense that stillness, not empty, but full, dense with the residue of energy and motion. The space around the black hole vibrates faintly, like a bell after its final note. The sound is gone, but the metal still trembles. You imagine floating near that calm region, where the violence of collision has already passed. The chaos is over. What remains is silence so deep that it almost feels alive. Light bends softly around the black hole's edges, creating faint halos, whispers of the star that used to be. The event horizon glows faintly with absorbed energy, invisible yet constant. The black hole is not a destroyer now. It is a keeper. Within it lies the memory of what was consumed, the pulsar's mass, its spin, its history. The space around adjusts to this new balance. The black hole's rotation smooths into a steady rhythm. The gravitational field stabilizes. Even the fabric of space-time seems to exhale. You might expect destruction to leave behind emptiness, but it doesn't. Instead, it leaves structure. Around the black hole, faint streams of gas and dust circle, slowly forming new patterns. Matter that escaped the merger continues to drift, drawn but not captured. It forms an accretion disk, thin, faint, and glowing with the last warmth of motion. The universe, it seems, never wastes what it creates. Even the calm after cataclysm has purpose. The energy once locked in the pulsar's rotation now helps define the black hole's spin. Its angular momentum, the measure of its motion, remains, but in a quieter form. You realize that silence in the universe is not the absence of sound. It is the continuation of rhythm, only slowed beyond hearing. You look beyond the horizon, imagining what lies within. Inside, no signal escapes, no light returns. Yet physics tells you that the black hole's presence still affects everything around it. Its mass bends space, shaping orbits of distant stars, guiding them gently even across light years. In that way, the story of this collision continues to influence the cosmos, silently, invisibly. The stillness after the storm carries a strange beauty. You can feel the tension dissolve, replaced by peace. What once was frantic motion is now balance. The black hole has reached a steady state, the final calm after transformation. To the human mind, such silence might seem lonely, but in cosmic terms, it is harmony. Systems reach equilibrium, energies settle, and the universe continues to expand around it, indifferent yet connected. You think of how storms work on Earth. After thunder fades and rain clears, the air feels fresh, rebalanced. The landscape glistens, shaped but not destroyed. The same is true here, across the vast gulf of space. The black hole, once part of chaos, now exists in quiet order, its surroundings adjusting to a new, stable gravity. If you could wait long enough, millions of years, perhaps more, you would see the effects of this stillness ripple outward. Nearby stars would drift slightly, their paths curved by the new mass. Gas clouds would change shape, slowly forming new regions of density that might, one day, collapse into stars again. The universe works in patience, using even destruction as a tool for creation. The black hole itself remains unseen, a perfect balance between existence and invisibility. Only its influence betrays its presence. You cannot touch it, yet it touches everything near it. The space around it becomes smooth, symmetrical, clean, as if nature itself tidied the scene after the cosmic storm. You drift closer in thought, picturing the edge of the event horizon. Here, time stretches infinitely. If you watched a clock near it, you would never see it tick. The seconds would lengthen into eternities. The black hole's gravity slows everything that comes near, including your sense of motion. You begin to feel the same calm spreading into your own awareness, a stillness that quiets thought itself. It is not emptiness you feel, but a sense of completion. The violence, the motion, the collapse, all have resolved into something whole. The universe has absorbed the change, transformed energy into shape, and now rests in equilibrium. You breathe with the cosmos, slowly, rhythmically. The act of inhaling feels like expansion, the act of exhaling feels like contraction. It mirrors the balance of creation and absorption that defines the universe. Even your breath, here in imagination, follows the same rhythm as stars being born and dying. Around the black hole, faint residual energy glows in X-rays, radiation from particles moving too fast for light to hold. It flickers irregularly, like embers after a fire. Astronomers who one day observe this region will see those signals and know that something powerful once happened here. They will not witness the collision itself, but they will see the quiet aftermath, the evidence of stillness that follows creation. You understand now that the cosmos does not celebrate or mourn. It continues. Every end is folded into what comes next. The black hole will remain for eons, perhaps until even the stars around it fade. Its calm presence will shape space long after galaxies drift apart. The silence deepens. You can almost sense time slowing, not stopping but stretching into an infinite calm. The echoes of the pulsar's light fade entirely now, leaving only gravity, the most patient storyteller of all. This is the stillness after the storm. It is not an ending, but a pause, the kind of pause that gives meaning to everything that came before. The black hole rests. Space settles. Energy hums softly, no longer frantic, no longer wild. And somewhere within that perfect quiet, you feel a new awareness forming, a realization that darkness, too, has a purpose. The storm is over, but its shadow is just beginning to reveal what light can truly mean. You drift closer to the black hole, the newborn remnant of a violent cosmic union. Its gravity stretches across space like invisible fingers, warping everything it touches. Around it, the fabric of spacetime bends, not as a flat surface, but as a deep well where light itself struggles to climb. You watch as nearby stars twist and stretch, their shapes curving into halos that encircle the darkness. It feels strange to see light behave like this. You have always known light as straight, certain, and unwavering. Yet here, its path bends, as though the universe itself is painting in circles instead of lines. This is gravitational lensing, a cosmic mirage where light, obeying the pull of gravity, bends around a massive object. Einstein once described it not as light being tugged, but as light following the shape of curved spacetime itself. From your vantage point, the effect is mesmerizing. Behind the black hole, stars that should be hidden suddenly reappear, wrapped into glowing arcs. Some seem duplicated, ghostly reflections of themselves cast across the gravitational field. You are not merely looking through space, you are looking through gravity. The black hole doesn't emit light, yet it becomes the center of the most beautiful illumination you've ever seen. Around its event horizon, the glow of distorted starlight outlines a perfect ring. Astronomers call this the photon ring, a boundary of trapped light that circles endlessly before vanishing. You stare into it, realizing you're seeing not just stars, but time delayed. The light reaching you has taken longer paths, curved routes carved by gravity itself. You are seeing the past bent into the present. Your mind tries to grasp it, this bending of space, this warping of perception. You imagine spacetime as a calm pond, and the black hole as a stone dropped into it. The ripples extend outward, changing the way light travels across its surface. You are both the observer and the reflection. In every curved beam of light, you see the story of motion, of time, of inevitability. You focus on one particular star whose light has been split in two by the lensing effect. Two identical images of the same star, appearing on either side of the black hole. One beam took a shorter path, the other a longer one, wrapping around the black hole before reaching you. That means you are seeing two different moments of the same star's life, one slightly older than the other. You are, in a way, watching time unfold side by side. This realization humbles you. Time, you see, isn't a single thread but a woven fabric where gravity can twist and fold the strands. In this curved geometry, the future and the past are neighbors separated only by the shape of space-time. The black hole becomes a mirror, not of light, but of temporal depth. The light bending before you feels alive. It shimmers as the accretion disk, hot gas spiraling into the black hole, flashes and dims. The disk itself glows with X-rays, invisible to your eyes but radiant in energy. That glow bends too, smearing into an oval that encircles the dark center. The nearer edge looks brighter, not because it emits more light, but because it's moving toward you. The motion compresses its light, a relativistic beaming effect that turns velocity into brightness. Time seems to slow near the event horizon. If you could watch an object fall in, you would never see it cross the edge. It would freeze, fade, and stretch indefinitely as the light it emits redshifts beyond visibility. From your perspective, the black hole is a master of illusions, consuming matter while appearing eternally still. Yet from within, to anything falling in, the plunge would be swift, unstoppable. You float at a distance, safe but spellbound. The universe here feels elastic, alive, responsive to mass and motion. The light curves not because it wants to, but because the very rules of geometry demand it. You begin to sense the truth behind Einstein's insight. Gravity is not a force pulling on objects, but the shape of reality itself. As you gaze deeper, you notice faint ripples moving through the distorted starlight. These are remnants of gravitational waves, the same ones that first revealed the black hole's birth. They alter space-time subtly, stretching and squeezing it as they pass. The universe is still settling from the collision, its geometry ringing like a bell. You imagine how distant civilizations might see this very spot. To them, it could appear as a bright ring of light, its shape shifting as they move. Each observer, depending on their location, would see a different illusion, a unique bending of truth by the same invisible gravity. Reality itself, it seems, depends on perspective. For a moment, you let go of scientific thought and simply feel the sight. The curved light resembles ripples in glass, the stars beyond it blurred into an eternal sunset. The black hole is no longer terrifying, it is serene, like a mirror that holds the memory of everything that enters. You find yourself thinking, if gravity can bend light, can it also bend understanding? Perhaps the universe teaches in curves, not straight lines. Every distortion becomes a lesson in patience and humility. You realize that what you see is not the stars as they are, but as gravity allows them to be seen. Reality, then, is a conversation between what exists and how it's shaped. The ring of light pulses faintly as more gas falls inward, spiraling faster, heating to unimaginable temperatures. You sense its story continuing, matter transforming into energy, motion becoming glow, and glow bending into shadow. You think about your own body, the light entering your eyes, the gravity beneath your feet. The same laws that shape this cosmic spectacle also govern your heartbeat, your balance, your weight. You and the black hole are not opposites. You are expressions of the same cosmic fabric, stitched differently but made of the same thread. The curve of light around the black hole becomes a reminder that gravity connects everything, from stars to atoms, from galaxies to your own breath. It is the invisible architecture of existence, holding the cosmos in place and giving shape to your every step. As the last starlight fades behind the curve, you feel the weight of that connection. Gravity does not belong to the heavens alone, it lives within you. The pull that bends time in the depths of space is the same one that anchors your body to Earth. The universe is not out there, it continues inside you. And as you drift from the shadow into awareness of your own form, you begin to sense the next truth waiting to be discovered, the quiet gravity within you. You stand beneath the open sky, feeling the weight of your own body. It's a familiar pull, so ordinary that you rarely notice it. Yet, as you remember the black hole's immense gravity, the way it curved light, the way it shaped time, you begin to wonder about the quiet force holding you to the earth. The same invisible hand that bends starlight also anchors your feet to the ground. Gravity is not only out there, among galaxies and collapsing stars. It is here, threading through you, binding every atom in your body to every atom of the planet beneath. Each particle you're made of was once part of something else, perhaps dust from an ancient star, a trace of a forgotten world. The pull you feel is not just downward, it's inward, toward connection. You take a breath. The air fills your lungs, dense and gentle. You can feel its weight too, the pressure of the atmosphere pressing softly against your skin. The same physics that keeps planets in orbit also shapes the rhythm of your breathing. You realize that gravity is not an external force acting on you. It is the geometry of your existence, the shape of the space that you inhabit. Long ago, people thought of gravity as a simple attraction between masses, a pull like a stretched rope between objects. But Einstein changed that understanding forever. He revealed that gravity is not a thing pulling, it is space itself curving around matter. The Earth doesn't tug on you. It bends the space you stand in, and you follow the curve naturally. Every fall, every step, every orbit is a journey through that geometry. You think back to the pulsar and the black hole. Their final orbit was not two bodies chasing each other. It was two distortions in spacetime spiraling together, reshaping the very arena they moved through. Their dance and your simple act of standing share the same essence. On vastly different scales, they both express the same rule. Mass tells space how to curve, and space tells mass how to move. You look up at the night sky, at stars that shimmer from light years away. Their light bends slightly as it travels through the gravitational field of the Earth, just as it bends around black holes and galaxies. Even the moon, pale and distant, is locked to you by this silent tether. You orbit each other endlessly, partners in a cosmic balance. As you stare, you begin to see the world differently. The tree beside you isn't simply growing upward, it's pushing against the curve of space that pulls it down. The stones under your feet are part of the same cosmic web that once held the pulsar in its orbit. Every drop of rain that falls, every leaf that lands, every river that flows is following spacetime's shape. You press your hand to your chest, feeling your heartbeat. Each pulse sends a subtle wave through your body, a tiny rhythm of pressure and motion. The blood within you responds to gravity too, guided through veins and arteries that evolved under its influence. Without gravity, your heart would beat differently, your bones would grow weaker, your sense of balance would dissolve. You realize now, gravity doesn't only connect distant galaxies, it defines life. It gives direction to growth, shape to oceans, stability to air. The Earth's gravity holds the thin film of atmosphere that protects you, keeps water flowing, and allows sound to exist. Every living thing is an expression of gravity's patience. Even your thoughts, born in the electric storms of the brain, are bound to this pull. Neurons fire because ions move, particles guided by electromagnetic fields, which themselves are shaped within the geometry gravity provides. The curvature of spacetime provides the stage on which your consciousness plays out. You start to sense the unity between what is immense and what is intimate. The black hole's enormous gravity bends light. Your body's tiny gravity bends spacetime too, though faintly, imperceptibly. Each human, each stone, each cell slightly distorts the universe around it. The cosmos feels vast, yet everything contributes to its shape. Nothing exists without influence. You wonder what the universe would feel like without gravity. There would be no stars, no planets, no bodies to hold matter together. No warmth, no orbits, no time as you know it. Gravity, you realize, is not just a force, it is structure, the scaffolding that allows creation to exist at all. A quiet awareness settles in. You understand that you are not small in this universe. You are continuous with it. The same equations that describe the black hole's immense pull describe your own subtle presence in space-time. If you could see the curvature around your body, it would be faint but real, your own signature written into the geometry of reality. The thought comforts you. You are not separate from the stars, nor from the earth that holds you. Gravity unites the cosmic and the personal, the distant and the near. Every step you take ripples through space-time, minutely, but eternally. You are part of the grand equation that balances existence. You close your eyes for a moment and imagine the invisible threads connecting you to everything else. The atoms in your bones respond to the pull of mountains, to the distant tug of the moon, to the deep gravity of the sun. You are in motion even when still, participating in an endless choreography that began long before you were born. You open your eyes again. The stars overhead no longer seem unreachable. They are companions, linked to you through unseen curves and subtle waves. Their gravity pulls you even now, as your gravity pulls them, however faintly. The connection is mutual, delicate, and profound. You take another breath, feeling the full weight of existence, not as a burden, but as belonging. Gravity does not confine you. It holds you in the embrace of the cosmos. It reminds you that you are made of the same matter as everything that shines and everything that falls. The pull you feel beneath your feet is the same pull that keeps galaxies spinning. The same law that governs the orbit of moons keeps your heart beating in rhythm with the stars. You are, in every sense, part of the universe's structure, a living piece of its vast geometry. And as you feel that quiet force holding you steady, you realize something simple yet astonishing. You have never been separate from the cosmos at all. You have always been within its gravity. You imagine space-time as a great fabric stretched across existence, soft yet unbreakable. Every particle, every planet, every star presses against it, shaping its texture. The weight of a world is not only its mass but the way it bends this invisible surface. You stand within this fabric, not above it or apart from it, but woven into its threads. Every movement you make, every heartbeat, ripples faintly through it. The universe does not speak in words, yet it has a language of curves and waves, of motion and relation. You begin to see that everything you have ever known is part of that silent conversation. Gravity, light, energy, time, all are expressions of this deeper grammar, written not in ink or sound, but in geometry. Einstein once said that space and time are not separate things but parts of one continuum. He called it space-time. It's not empty, it's the stage and the script, the actor and the act. Matter tells space-time how to curve. Space-time tells matter how to move. That simple exchange forms the syntax of reality. A planet's orbit is a sentence. A falling leaf is a phrase. The merger of black holes is a long, spiraling paragraph of energy. You think of the black hole that was once too. Their union carved a deep indentation in this cosmic fabric, a mark that spread outward in waves. Those waves, gravitational waves, are spacetime's way of whispering its story across the void. Long after the light faded, those ripples continued, carrying information about everything that happened. The universe remembers through vibration. You picture these ripples as soundless music, each note a distortion of space itself. If your ears could hear gravity, the cosmos would hum with endless chords, the soft rhythm of stars orbiting, the bass tones of galaxies colliding, the faint shimmer of planets turning. Even silence would not be still, it would be full of structure, filled with subtle motion. You start to realize that you are listening to the universe all the time, even if you don't recognize it. Every second that passes, every step you take, is an interaction with the geometry around you. When you walk, your mass reshapes space-time slightly. The Earth responds in kind, adjusting imperceptibly to your presence. Communication, continuous and mutual, never stops. Time itself is part of this language. It flows differently where space-time curves more deeply. Near a black hole, where the curve is steep, time slows, stretching each second into something longer. Far away, where space is flatter, it runs freely. This difference isn't an illusion, it is the grammar of space-time, describing how reality behaves depending on how it's shaped. When you look at the stars, you aren't seeing the present. You're reading an old line of the universe's poem, written millions of years ago. Your own body, though small in the scale of the cosmos, participates in this grand communication. The atoms inside you vibrate according to the same laws that govern the bending of light and the warping of time. Quantum mechanics, the microscopic language of energy and uncertainty, overlaps with general relativity's smooth, continuous speech. The universe speaks both tongues at once, one precise, one probabilistic. You exist at their intersection. Sometimes, you think of space-time as fabric, other times, as an ocean. In the ocean, massive bodies like stars create waves that move outward, changing the tides of reality. You are floating on that sea, surrounded by swells of invisible curvature. Space stretches, compresses, breathes, and you drift upon it without resistance. It carries you forward, always forward, even when you feel still. This idea brings a kind of comfort. The universe is not chaotic but conversational. When a star is born, space-time curves inward to make room. When it dies, space-time relaxes again, smoothing itself out. The balance is continuous, give and take, curve and uncurve. Nothing happens without space-time listening, adjusting, responding. You recall the pulsar's rhythm, the one that once pulsed through darkness before the merger. Its timing was so precise that scientists used it as a cosmic clock. Now you understand why. Pulsars are not just stars, they are the universe's punctuation marks, steady reminders that even chaos follows rhythm. Each pulse, each gravitational wave, each orbit is a word in the vast grammar of being. If you could read space-time fluently, you would never be lost. You would know where you stand not by sight but by curvature, by the way light bends and time flows around you. You would see motion as meaning, mass as emphasis, gravity as inflection. The whole cosmos would unfold like a sentence that never ends, written across billions of light years. But the beauty of this language is that it doesn't need translation. You already feel it in your bones. The way your body senses balance, the way you know up from down, the way your heart beats faster in free fall, these are all responses to spacetime's communication. You don't learn the language, you are born fluent in it. You close your eyes and imagine the lines of gravity and time crossing and looping around you. The geometry becomes visible in your mind, grids bending near planets, light curving near stars, waves rippling outward endlessly. It feels intricate and alive, not mechanical but expressive. Every motion in the universe, no matter how small, contributes a syllable to this ongoing cosmic story. You take a deep breath. The air moves in and out, pulled gently by the gravity of the Earth, shaped by the pressure of the atmosphere. Even breathing is participation in the language of space-time, inhaling the geometry, exhaling into the field that connects you to everything else. And somewhere in that awareness, you begin to sense that understanding this language is not about equations or theories. It's about listening, to the space between things, to the rhythm beneath stillness. Because soon, you will follow light itself, and discover what it means to try to escape the curve. You imagine yourself near the edge of the black hole, not falling, not yet, just hovering at the boundary where space folds upon itself. Around you, light behaves in strange and beautiful ways. Some rays are swallowed immediately, others bend and twist, caught in orbits that never end. Here, photons, particles of pure energy, are trapped in loops of almost freedom. They circle endlessly, never falling in, never getting out. You focus on one of these beams, a single thread of light trying to escape. It began its journey long ago, emitted from a particle near the black hole's edge. It moves straight ahead, but straight no longer means what it once did. Space itself is curved, and so the light bends, following that curve perfectly. It has no will, no hesitation. It simply obeys the geometry around it. The beam passes close to the event horizon, the point where escape becomes impossible. From your vantage, you see it stretch, red-shifted, its color fading to deeper hues, its energy weakening as it climbs against gravity's pull. To the light, time feels different. In its own frame, it moves infinitely fast, yet from yours, it seems to slow, as if stuck in a timeless orbit. This is the photon sphere, a fragile place where light circles the black hole again and again. If you could stand there, you would see your own image repeated endlessly, your reflection looping around you like a halo. Every direction would look the same because all paths curve back toward you. It's a place where perspective loses meaning. You watch the beam continue its dance. It curves, then curves again, tracing the same path like a thought that can't let go. It is persistence made visible, a perfect metaphor for the universe's refusal to give up. For the light, there is no frustration. It doesn't know it is trapped. It is simply doing what light does, moving forward, even when forward has no exit. Around the black hole, the darkness isn't absolute. The swirling disk of gas, the accretion disk, glows fiercely. Particles collide and heat to millions of degrees, creating light that barely escapes. To observers far away, this forms the outline of the black hole, the bright ring seen in those famous images, a circle of fire around a center that hides everything. That light too is part of the story, the energy that fought gravity and, for a moment, survived. You realize that every bit of light near a black hole is engaged in a contest with space itself. But it is not a battle in the way humans think of conflict. It is more like a dialogue between energy and geometry, between the desire to move and the shape of reality. Gravity curves the path, light follows. Neither resists the other. Together, they create structure, the balance between darkness and illumination. You remember Einstein's insight that light always travels at one speed, the cosmic speed limit. No matter the observer, light's velocity remains constant. But near the black hole, that constancy takes on new meaning. The space it travels through stretches so deeply that what once seemed straight becomes circular. To you, it appears slowed or frozen, but to light itself, nothing changes. It never stops being what it is. This, you think, is persistence in its purest form, not defiance, but continuity. Light does not rage against gravity. It simply continues to exist within its laws. Even when it cannot escape, it remains the same, steady, timeless, unbroken. In that sense, it wins, though not by leaving, but by enduring. You imagine yourself as that photon, circling endlessly around the horizon. The universe outside grows faint. Time stretches until a second feels like eternity. Yet even in that endless orbit, there is peace. You are still moving, still part of the cosmic order, still contributing your curve to spacetime's design. You are not lost. You are part of something complete. You think of how this mirrors life itself. There are times when you, too, feel caught, circling problems, emotions, memories that loop endlessly in the mind. But like the photon, you are still moving forward, even if progress looks like repetition. Gravity's pull may hold you, but it also defines your path. Without it, there would be no orbit, no structure, no meaning to motion. You return your focus to the black hole's edge. The light near it grows thin and red, stretched to wavelengths too long for your eyes to see. What remains visible is only the faintest glow, a whisper of what once burned bright. Yet that invisible light still carries information, still travels through the cosmos. Somewhere, billions of years later, it may reach a telescope on a small planet. Someone will study it, and in that light, they will read the story of your moment here. Nothing that happens in the universe is truly lost. Even trapped light leaves an imprint. The energy that falls into the black hole adds to its mass, changing its spin, reshaping the geometry of spacetime. Each photon becomes part of the hole's identity. In that way, the black hole remembers every piece of light it consumes. Its darkness is not emptiness, it is memory, concentrated and silent. You start to realize that the black hole's shadow is not the absence of light but the record of light's struggle. Every photon that tried to escape left behind its trace, etched in gravity's field. The black hole's silhouette is not just a void, it is a story written in curvature. The story of everything that once tried, and though trapped, never ceased to move. You look once more at the photon sphere. The looping light continues, timeless and endless. It is beautiful not because it is free, but because it never stops seeking freedom. The universe, you think, is full of such lessons. Persistence without rebellion, motion within boundaries, the courage to continue even when escape is impossible. Far away, the curved light bends toward the stars. To distant observers, this distortion becomes a halo, the bright outline we call gravitational lensing. Through this bending, light reveals the unseen, allowing humanity to study galaxies and black holes far beyond direct vision. Even when trapped, it still helps others see. And as you drift away from the black hole's edge, you carry with you the image of that photon, still circling, still shining, still telling its story in endless revolution. It becomes a quiet reminder that the act of continuing, even without escape, has meaning. Because soon, you will stand where light itself begins to fail, and witness what lies beyond the edge of sight. You stand at the edge of the black hole, the event horizon, the point where even light hesitates. The boundary is invisible, yet its power is undeniable. You cannot touch it, but you feel its presence like pressure on your thoughts. Time behaves strangely here. Seconds stretch into eternities. Every motion seems caught between happening and never arriving. You look outward. The stars beyond appear distorted, their light twisted into rings and arcs. Space itself bends around the immense gravity. What you see is not where the stars truly are, but where their light has been pulled by the hole's unseen hand. The universe feels fluid, as if reality has turned to glass and begun to melt. Every photon becomes a stroke in a painting of gravity. Closer, the pull deepens. You imagine dropping a clock toward the black hole. To you, its hands slow, almost stopping, frozen on the brink. Yet from the clock's own frame, time would pass normally, its seconds ticking away as it falls. Both views are true, though they cannot be reconciled. Time, you realize, is not absolute. It depends on where you are and how deeply you stand in the fabric's curve. You sense your own heartbeat, steady but small against the vast pull. Gravity presses not on your skin, but on the meaning of now. The event horizon is not merely a place, it is an idea, a boundary where understanding falters. Beyond it, light cannot return. Beyond it, cause and effect may blur. Yet, strangely, there is no violent barrier. If you crossed it, you would not feel the moment you passed through. Only the universe outside would lose sight of you forever. Far above, galaxies shimmer, their light stretched red by the escaping pull. This is gravitational redshift, light losing energy as it climbs away from gravity's grasp. It is as if the photons grow tired, their wavelengths lengthening in farewell. The cosmos you knew, bright and constant, now glows faintly through the warping of space. Every ray you see has struggled to reach you. You think of Einstein, who imagined this very curve a century ago. He saw gravity not as a force but as geometry, the bending of space-time itself. Here, that vision comes alive. The event horizon is the purest expression of curvature, where the line between space and time dissolves into one continuous fall. The deeper you look, the more everything seems to flow toward that inevitable center, not with violence but with slow, majestic certainty. In that certainty, there is peace. Nothing escapes, yet nothing truly ends. Energy and information swirl along the horizon, forming patterns too complex to see. Some scientists call it the holographic boundary, a surface where the data of the universe might be encoded. If that is true, then this horizon is not destruction, it is preservation, written in a language gravity alone can speak. You imagine being light, a photon skimming the edge, circling the black hole endlessly. You would see the universe stretched into infinity, each orbit revealing the same stars from new angles. You would never leave, yet you would never fall. Your existence would be a dance between freedom and surrender. Perhaps, you think, that is the nature of all things that live near great forces, to balance on the line between staying and letting go. Your thoughts drift inward. What would it mean to cross the horizon? Would time stop for you, or for the rest of the universe? From your perspective, you would continue, unaware of any threshold. But from afar, you would seem to freeze, suspended forever at the edge of nothingness. Both realities coexist, parallel and unreconciled. The horizon hides not only light but truth itself. You begin to understand why scientists call it an observer's paradox. Every view is shaped by where you stand, by how gravity wraps your path. The universe is not seen as it is, but as it is bent. And you, too, are an observer within its curvature, your perspective limited, your time slowed by your own small gravities of thought and memory. Beyond this place, inside the black hole, the equations lose meaning. Singularities defy the language of physics. But perhaps, you think, what lies beyond is not destruction but transformation, matter and energy rewritten into forms yet unimagined. You cannot know, because the horizon is both boundary and veil. Still, the beauty of it moves you. Around you, the sky glows with warped galaxies, halos of light encircling shadow. You are looking at the universe as if through a lens of infinity. Each photon is bent, delayed, refracted, a message stretched by gravity's hand. Even your reflection, if it could exist here, would shimmer across curved spacetime like a mirage. You linger, watching as the last familiar shapes dissolve into streaks of colorless brilliance. The closer you gaze, the slower everything moves. Time feels like syrup, thick and golden, dripping towards stillness. Your thoughts slow with it, until there is only the quiet awareness that you are witnessing the edge of knowable reality. The horizon does not move, yet it draws you nearer by the force of wonder alone. You realize then, this place does not reveal the end, it reveals how perception bends. The black hole does not consume meaning, it transforms it. What seems lost may only be hidden in a form the universe has not yet shown. The horizon is a mirror, not of light, but of understanding. You breathe once more, your chest heavy with the weight of perspective. You turn away from the edge, feeling its pull still within you, subtle and eternal. Behind you, the horizon remains, patient, silent, infinite. Ahead, something stirs in the darkness, faint, quantum, and alive. Because even here, at the edge of all things, the void hums with something faint, a murmur waiting to be heard. And that murmur will be the next chapter. The horizon is still, silent, endless. But silence in the universe is never truly empty. There, at the edge of the black hole, where space folds and light halts, something subtle happens. The vacuum, which you once thought was nothing, is alive with whispers. Tiny fluctuations appear, vanish, and reappear again. Energy hums beneath the quiet, restless even in darkness. You hover close to the event horizon, watching what seems like nothing at all. Yet, in that nothingness, a miracle unfolds. Quantum physics, with all its strange poetry, comes alive here. In the emptiness of space, pairs of particles constantly appear, one matter, one antimatter. They are born together, perfectly balanced, only to annihilate each other a moment later. Normally, this dance leaves no trace. But near the black hole, things change. Sometimes, one of the pair falls inward, past the horizon, where no return is possible, while the other escapes. The black hole swallows one, and the universe keeps the other. This is Hawking radiation, named after the man who imagined light escaping from darkness. The black hole, once thought to be an eternal prison, is quietly leaking. Slowly, invisibly, it evaporates. You imagine the escaping particle, a photon, free and trembling, racing outward from the edge. Its journey is almost impossible, like running uphill through spacetime's steepest slope. Yet it makes it. That single act, repeated endlessly across billions of years, becomes a kind of song, a soft murmur of quantum light against gravity's silence. This murmur is faint beyond measure. No ear could ever hear it. No telescope could easily see it. Yet, in theory, it exists, a whisper of creation at the edge of oblivion. The black hole is not still. It breathes, though so slowly that its lifetime stretches beyond imagination. What seems eternal is, in truth, fading, atom by atom, photon by photon. Stephen Hawking once described this as the ultimate paradox, that black holes, which consume all, must eventually give back. Their gravity, so complete, cannot suppress the laws of quantum mechanics. Even here, uncertainty finds a way to speak. The universe does not allow perfect silence. You look closer, picturing the surface of the event horizon. It shimmers not with fire but with probability. Every point flickers with the potential of particles appearing and vanishing. To your mind, it looks like a sea of faint sparks, a soft foam of energy where the laws of physics blur into one another. It is not chaotic, it is balanced, delicate, alive. The escaping particles carry energy away, which means the black hole loses a tiny amount of mass. Over time, a time longer than galaxies can endure, it will shrink. Eventually, it will vanish completely, leaving behind nothing but radiation. You realize this means the universe is patient, infinitely patient, with every process, no matter how small. Even giants die softly, whispering their energy back into the cosmos. As you drift farther from the horizon, you think about the duality of all things, the particle and antiparticle, creation and destruction, light and shadow. Each needs the other. The black hole and Hawking radiation are no different. One consumes, the other releases. Together, they preserve balance. The idea feels deeply human. You, too, create and let go. Every breath you take mirrors the same exchange, inhale and exhale, gain and release. The black hole does the same, though at a cosmic scale. Its inhalation is gravitational, its exhalation, quantum. What you witness is the universe breathing in both directions at once. The more you understand it, the more peaceful it feels. This is not destruction, it's renewal. Even the darkest objects are part of the flow of energy and time. Nothing, not even a black hole, is isolated. Every existence radiates something: warmth, thought, motion, memory. You think about yourself, your own small radiation of presence. Perhaps all consciousness, too, is a kind of Hawking radiation, fleeting but real, born from the boundary between what we know and what we cannot. Your attention returns to the black hole. You can almost sense it aging, slowly losing its mass, imperceptibly changing its curvature. The horizon remains vast, yet the process has begun. Billions upon billions of years from now, it will glow more brightly, its temperature rising as it evaporates faster. The final stage will be sudden, a flash, an exhalation of pure energy. The black hole will end not with silence, but with light. And still, in that light, the information it once held may not be lost. Some physicists believe the escaping radiation carries faint imprints, quantum echoes of what fell in. If true, it means the black hole remembers, in its own mysterious way. The murmur of Hawking radiation might be not only a whisper of energy, but a whisper of memory. You let that idea settle. It comforts you. The universe, so vast and indifferent, still keeps its records in light. Even here, on the edge of finality, nothing is truly forgotten. The particles that escape carry the faintest stories, of stars, planets, and perhaps minds, all dissolved into their smallest form. The cosmos hums not only with energy but with remembrance. You look at the void again. It feels different now, not empty, but alive with motion too subtle to see. Every second, pairs are born and destroyed, an eternal tide of emergence and disappearance. You find beauty in that rhythm. You realize that creation and loss are not opposites, they are partners in an endless conversation. The black hole and the vacuum speak together in silence, their dialogue woven into the quantum fabric of reality. In this moment, you sense the unity of all scales, the subatomic and the cosmic, the brief and the infinite. The same rules that govern fleeting virtual particles also shape galaxies. The same dance that flickers at the edge of a black hole hums inside your atoms. You are not merely observing physics, you are part of its unfolding. You, too, radiate thoughts, warmth, meaning. Time stretches. The glow of quantum light fades as you drift farther from the horizon. The murmur softens, blending into the deep hum of spacetime itself. Somewhere behind you, the black hole continues to breathe its quiet song. You know it will keep singing long after stars have gone cold. Its last breath will be the final shimmer of heat in a universe nearing silence. You think of what comes after. What happens when the black hole finally disappears? What remains when even gravity releases its hold? Will the energy disperse into nothingness, or will it seed something new? You do not know. But you feel the question forming, gentle and vast, like the first ripple of light after darkness. And that question carries you toward what comes next, the slow, endless fading that marks the evaporation of eternity. Time, here, is no longer something you measure. It has stretched too far, become too soft, too slow. The black hole you once watched in its prime, vast, powerful, commanding, is now ancient. Around it, galaxies have faded, stars have burned their last hydrogen, and the cosmos has dimmed to a grey, quiet expanse. There is no starlight left to illuminate its edges. Only the faintest glow remains, a whisper of heat, a breath of radiation escaping into the cold. The black hole has been losing mass for eons. Each particle that escaped through Hawking radiation carried away a fragment of its being. What once devoured suns now leaks energy at a rate so small it would seem motionless to any observer. But in this universe of endless time, even the slowest change becomes destiny. Every photon, every quantum sigh adds up. Gradually, it shrinks. Gradually, it fades. You float nearby, weightless, as the horizon contracts. The once immense shadow has softened into something fragile. You can almost see through it now, a sphere not of darkness, but of faint, fading heat. It hums with the last remnants of energy trapped inside. The radiation, once imperceptibly weak, has grown stronger as the black hole becomes smaller. It glows like a dying coal, its temperature rising as its mass dwindles. This paradox, that it grows hotter as it grows smaller, feels like the final trick of gravity. The same force that bound galaxies now consumes itself, transformed into light. You watch the black hole shed its mass into the void, not in despair, but in completion. It is a return, not an ending. Over unimaginable spans of time, all black holes will reach this point. The universe, long since emptied of stars and planets, will consist mostly of them, slowly evaporating islands of curvature. And one by one, they will vanish. Each will end in a brief, brilliant burst of energy, a flash against the infinite dark. But that brief still spans millions of years, for in this late age, even light itself has nowhere to hurry. You think of the energy escaping, pure radiation, stripped of form. It travels endlessly, never absorbed, never reflected. The universe has expanded too much for interaction. Every particle is a wanderer now, moving through emptiness so vast that distances have lost meaning. This is entropy in its most complete form, energy dispersed beyond retrieval, difference smoothed into silence. And yet, it is peaceful. There is a stillness in watching something end not with violence, but with surrender. The black hole does not fight its fate. It glows, radiates, and simply becomes less. Its final act is to give back everything it took, the mass of stars, the light of matter, the energy of collisions, all returned, diffused, gentle. It reminds you of snow melting under spring sunlight, leaving only the faintest trace of moisture behind. You sense how natural this is. Nothing escapes transformation. The same process that built galaxies now dissolves them. The universe breathes out what it once breathed in. Even the most powerful structures are temporary, patterns within a larger, unending flow. Eternity itself, you realize, is not static. It evaporates too, changing shape, diffusing through its own infinity. In the distance, you can see other black holes, tiny, glowing embers scattered across the dark. Each one murmurs its quiet radiation, each one marking the slow heartbeat of the final cosmic age. It is a universe of ghosts, where every sound is faint and every event unfolds in centuries that pass like seconds. But there is beauty in the rhythm of it, the last pulse of energy returning to balance. As the black hole shrinks further, it becomes unstable. Its heat rises sharply, reaching temperatures that once existed only in the earliest universe. For the first time in eons, a brief flicker of brightness pierces the void. You can feel it, a pulse, a flash, the purest expression of stored energy released all at once. It is not violent. It is final. The black hole explodes in light, dissolving into radiation, erasing its own horizon in one graceful instant. And then it is gone. The space it occupied remains, but emptier than emptiness itself. The curvature flattens, spacetime relaxes. No trace of its former mass remains, except in the radiation now spreading outward. You can almost imagine the information it once held, the memory of everything it consumed, encoded in that light, scattered like ash through the infinite night. Scientists have long debated whether this information truly survives, but here, standing in its afterglow, you sense that it does. The universe remembers in its own subtle ways. You drift through the remnants, bathed in the soft light of what was once a giant. The warmth is faint but real. It touches you gently, as if saying goodbye. You think about how all things must fade, even the ideas of permanence and eternity. But fading is not loss, it's transformation. The universe recycles everything, even endings. In this moment, the concept of time feels strange. Billions of years pass like single breaths. You are watching not just one event, but the dissolution of an age. The cosmos has shifted from one form of being to another. Once, it was a universe of light. Then, a universe of matter. Now, it becomes a universe of radiation. Pure, diffuse, unbound energy. The scale of it humbles you. You once thought eternity meant endlessness. But eternity, it seems, is simply what happens when change never stops. It is not infinite stillness, it is infinite motion slowing, cooling, spreading. You find comfort in this, because it means nothing truly vanishes, it just becomes something else. You close your eyes and listen to the cosmic quiet. There are no stars, no collisions, no planets. Only a faint background glow, the echo of all that ever was. The temperature of space has fallen to near zero, but not quite. The last warmth of dying black holes keeps the universe from absolute silence. You realize you are witnessing the great balance, the equal and opposite return of everything that ever existed. Matter into energy, structure into equilibrium, gravity into light. The end of eternity is not a fall, it's a release. And in that release, you sense continuity. The radiation that escapes will drift forever, perhaps to seed something new. Maybe, someday, in an unimaginable future, those photons will meet others, their energy converging in a new fluctuation, a spark. Perhaps that spark will grow. Perhaps, out of the quiet ashes of entropy, another beginning will form. You do not know. But you feel that the story does not end here. The universe has never known true finality, only transformation, only remembrance, only return. As the light of the vanished black hole fades into distance, you turn your gaze toward the vast, pale horizon of spacetime itself. It glows faintly, as if holding on to memory. You sense that even now, in the emptiness, something remains, a trace, a pattern, a quiet record written into the very structure of reality. And in that record lies the next truth, that even after the last light fades, the universe remembers. Long after the last black hole has vanished, silence fills the cosmos. The universe has grown transparent, stretched thin by expansion. Yet in this vast quiet, something persists, a memory, faint but eternal. Every particle that once existed, every wave of light that once crossed the sky, still leaves its trace. The universe, though empty, is not forgetful. It holds the echoes of everything that has ever been. You float through this invisible sea of remembrance. The background hum, the cosmic microwave radiation, has dimmed to near nothing, but it still carries the fingerprints of the Big Bang. Within its faint warmth is the story of creation, written not in words, but in wavelengths. Information, scientists once said, never truly disappears. It changes form, spreads out, hides in patterns too subtle to see, but it remains. The collapse of stars, the breath of galaxies, the thoughts of living beings, all of it encoded in the quantum fabric of reality. You realize that even when a black hole evaporates, it doesn't erase what it once consumed. The information lives on, diffused through Hawking radiation, woven back into space-time. The universe recycles not just matter and energy, but knowledge, the very blueprint of existence. You begin to see it everywhere, the faint remnants of atoms, the trembling of virtual particles, the slight fluctuations in vacuum energy. Each is a record, a signature, a quiet "I was here." It's humbling to know that nothing is ever truly lost. Even in cosmic oblivion, the memory of every moment persists. The stars that once burned now whisper in the language of entropy. The galaxies that once collided now exist as ripples in background radiation. And you, the observer, the traveler, are also recorded. The atoms that form your body once belonged to a star, then to a planet, then to a living being who looked up at the night sky, wondering what lies beyond. You are part of that eternal chain of memory. The universe remembers you, even when you forget yourself. You drift farther into the void. The scale of time becomes incomprehensible. Trillions of years pass, and yet the laws remain unbroken. Information, that quiet order beneath chaos, continues to shape what little remains. If someone, or something, could read this ancient record, they would see it all: the birth of stars, the rise of galaxies, the laughter of civilizations, the collapse into black holes, and the final breath of light. The cosmos, like a perfect archivist, keeps everything. You start to wonder, is this memory conscious? Does the universe know what it holds? Or is it merely the way reality preserves itself, an automatic truth that ensures existence never truly fades? Perhaps consciousness itself is an echo of this cosmic memory, a local expression of the universe remembering itself. Every thought, every emotion, might be a reflection of the same process: energy organizing, remembering, becoming aware. It's comforting to think so. The vastness no longer feels empty, but full of history, of data, of meaning scattered across the stars. The silence of space becomes the quiet hum of remembrance. You realize that the universe doesn't mourn what it loses. It transforms it. Loss is simply a form of preservation too deep for us to recognize. When a star dies, it writes its story in elements. When a civilization fades, it leaves its code in light. And when a black hole evaporates, it gives back the knowledge it had kept hidden. The universe forgets nothing. You close your eyes and feel that truth within yourself. Your heartbeat, your breath, your thoughts, they too are patterns, ripples in the field of being. When you are gone, those patterns will disperse, but their influence will never vanish completely. Somewhere, in the faint hum of the vacuum, your existence will remain, like the last vibration of a bell after the sound has passed. Time stretches. Light grows thinner. Space itself feels fragile, but memory endures. The cosmos may fade, but the imprint of everything it ever contained will always linger. The universe remembers, not as we do, not with emotion or nostalgia, but with structure, with physics, with the quiet persistence of pattern. In the end, remembrance is the only form of eternity. After the long song of creation and collapse, a quiet descends across the universe. There are no more stars being born, no galaxies colliding, no black holes feeding. The light that once filled the heavens now stretches too far to see. Space itself grows thin, like an echo losing its strength. You float through this silence, a silence so deep it feels alive. It is not an empty silence. It hums faintly, not in sound, but in the rhythm of being. Virtual particles still appear and vanish, tiny ripples of existence that refuse to fully rest. You can almost sense them, flickering in and out like the last breaths of a dream. Even nothingness is never truly still. You drift through the remains of what was once a universe full of motion. There are no planets here, no burning suns. Yet the memory of all those things lingers, the faint afterimage of a dance that lasted trillions of years. Space feels like a breath held too long, waiting for something that will never return. You begin to understand that this silence is not sadness. It is peace. For the first time since the beginning, the universe is free from struggle. Gravity no longer pulls, radiation no longer pushes, and matter no longer competes for form. Every atom, every particle, has found rest. You think about sound, how every wave needs a medium, how every vibration needs something to move through. In this place, there is almost nothing left to carry vibration. The silence isn't just the absence of noise, it's the absence of the things that make noise possible. And yet, within this vast stillness, there is meaning. Perhaps silence itself is the final communication of the cosmos, the language spoken when everything has been said. Your thoughts slow. You feel the rhythm of your own body matching the calm of the universe. Your breath becomes the last motion you can sense. You realize how fragile sound is, how precious it is that anything ever moved at all. Even though everything seems to have ended, small fluctuations remain. Tiny quantum ripples, far weaker than whispers, continue to flicker in the void. Physicists once called this vacuum energy, the restless potential that never entirely disappears. You feel it around you, a quiet background pulse, like the heartbeat of reality refusing to stop. You imagine that every wave that ever moved, light, sound, gravity, even thought, has now blended into one vast equilibrium. Every crest has met its trough. Every motion has finally balanced. This is what perfect stillness means, not lifelessness, but completion. You let that understanding sink in. All the noise of creation, all the collisions and explosions, were the universe finding its balance. Now it has. The silence between waves is not an absence but a harmony too deep for ears to hear. You realize that this quiet is not empty, it's full of resolution. Every wave that ever rose has returned to the sea that birthed it. The silence is the sound of everything coming home. In this stillness, your sense of time begins to blur. Seconds, hours, and eons become indistinguishable. Without change, time loses meaning. You exist not in moments but in presence, in pure awareness. The mind, like the universe, finds peace in letting go of motion. You wonder if this is what the cosmos feels, not gone, but resting. Not dead, but complete. It's strange to think that stillness can feel so alive. You close your eyes and imagine the faint waves that once filled space. The starlight that traveled for billions of years before fading. The gravitational ripples that echoed through galaxies. All of them have merged into this soft, endless quiet. You can almost hear them fade, not with sadness, but with grace. Every sound you've ever known, every note, every heartbeat, every whisper of wind, began as a wave. And now, all waves have stilled. The universe has taken a long breath and chosen to hold it. This moment, this deep calm, is the purest form of existence. It's where everything that ever was finds balance. You find yourself feeling grateful. Grateful for the stars that once burned, for the gravity that once pulled, for the light that once reached your eyes. Every one of those things existed so that this silence could be earned. The stillness stretches infinitely, yet you don't feel lost in it. You feel part of it. The quiet no longer separates you from the universe, it unites you with it. The silence between waves becomes your silence too. You are the echo that remains after sound. You are the calm that follows creation. You are the still point where the universe rests. For a long time, you float without thought, without sound, without movement, only presence. And then, somewhere beyond perception, something stirs. A new ripple, faint and uncertain, trembles through the void. It's almost nothing, yet it carries potential, the promise of motion returning. The silence holds its breath again, as if listening. Something is about to begin. Even after the universe has grown quiet and empty, matter is never truly gone. The remnants of dead stars, the scattered gas and dust, continue to drift through space. Slowly, imperceptibly, gravity begins its quiet work. Particles attract, clusters form, and the void gathers itself into dense pockets. You watch as the first hints of a new structure emerge, small and fragile, yet full of potential. These clouds of matter are called nebulae, the wombs of stars. They glow faintly, warmed not by fusion yet, but by the faint energy remaining from previous generations of cosmic activity. The dust carries the memory of elements forged long ago: hydrogen, helium, carbon, oxygen, the building blocks not only of stars, but of planets, and eventually, life. Gravity slowly compresses these clouds, pulling them tighter. As they condense, pressure increases, and temperatures begin to rise. Within these pockets, the conditions for nuclear fusion are slowly being prepared. Energy from collisions of particles begins to radiate outward, lighting up the cloud like a lantern in darkness. You observe as small clumps ignite first, tiny protostars flickering into existence. They are unstable, shifting, their light uneven, but their formation is certain. They rotate, wobble, and spin, shaping the surrounding matter into disks. This motion creates the environment for planets and other celestial bodies that may someday form around them. The process is slow. It takes millions of years for a star to stabilize, for fusion to begin in a steady, sustained way. But time is no obstacle here. You see it in an expanded sense. Centuries and eons are brief in comparison to the scale of cosmic creation. Even when it seems quiet, the universe is preparing its next act. When the first fusion reactions ignite, a new star comes to life. Hydrogen atoms fuse into helium, releasing energy that pushes outward against gravity. The star achieves equilibrium, balancing inward pull and outward pressure. Its glow is steady now, no longer flickering, marking a new presence in the cosmos. You watch as it casts light on the surrounding gas and dust, illuminating the beginnings of new systems. Each new star is a seed. The heavier elements in its core, created through fusion over millions or billions of years, will eventually be released when it dies. In that way, each birth contains the promise of future matter, future life, future stars. The cycle continues, endings feeding beginnings, darkness nurturing light. You notice patterns forming, clusters of stars, galaxies beginning to take shape once more. Gravity organizes these new stars into spiral arms, into elliptical shapes, into structures both familiar and strange. What was once dispersed emptiness now carries the potential for complexity and motion. The light from these new stars spreads across the void, a soft illumination that contrasts with the deep darkness of older, quieter regions. You feel a subtle warmth, a gentle energy that is neither loud nor forceful, but persistent. This is the heartbeat of creation, slow, rhythmic, and continuous. You realize that no matter how still or empty the universe seems, creation always finds a way. Matter returns to form, energy reassembles, and new stars take the place of those long extinguished. The cosmos is resilient, cyclical, and endlessly inventive. You drift among these newborn stars, feeling the scale of time and space differently. Every atom in you has been part of similar cycles, billions of years ago in distant stars. Now, observing this new birth, you feel connected, a witness to continuity that spans the universe. The nebulae shift, new stars ignite, and you sense the quiet pulse of the cosmos once again. Energy flows, matter organizes, and the dance of creation resumes. Even after vast stretches of silence, the universe remembers how to sing. And as you watch, a question emerges. What forms might arise from these new stars? What planets? What systems? What stories? The cycle is unbroken, yet every iteration is unique, waiting to unfold. The light grows brighter as more stars are born, and you feel the soft rhythm of beginnings, like breathing in and out, eternal and steady. A new chapter of existence is unfolding, quiet, deliberate, and infinite in its possibilities. As you continue to observe, patterns emerge in the movements of stars, galaxies, and the interstellar medium. The universe is not chaotic. It has rhythm. You notice the cycles of birth and death, collapse and expansion, repeating over and over, like the beating of a vast cosmic heart. Each cycle carries energy, matter, and memory, connecting every part of the universe into a harmonious whole. The rotation of galaxies follows a gentle pattern, each star tracing its elliptical path, interacting with others through gravity. Spiral arms twist and turn, dense clusters pulse with motion, and cosmic filaments stretch across the void. Even seemingly random collisions and explosions obey underlying principles, creating order from apparent disorder. You realize that the universe functions much like a symphony, where every movement contributes to a larger composition. Time itself seems to carry rhythm. The light of distant stars reaches you in sequences shaped by their motion and age. Waves of gravity ripple through space, often imperceptible, but carrying energy and momentum across unimaginable distances. Each signal, each pulse, is part of a pattern you can feel if you slow your perception. The universe breathes in, then out, in cycles beyond human comprehension. You reflect on the cycles of stars you witnessed. Supernovae disperse elements into space, nebulae condense into new stars, black holes form and eventually evaporate, and new light emerges. The process is continuous, a loop of creation and transformation. Energy flows in currents and eddies, matter moves along invisible paths, and the laws of physics maintain a rhythm that is at once precise and beautiful. The scale of this rhythm is staggering. You feel small, yet intimately connected. The same gravitational forces that organize galaxies also govern the fall of water on a planet, the orbit of moons, and the movement of every particle in your body. The rhythm of the cosmos is reflected in your own rhythms, heartbeat, breath, and thought, linking you directly to the patterns of the universe. Even chaos has its rhythm. Collisions, flares, and bursts of radiation may seem abrupt or unpredictable, yet they emerge from underlying physical laws. Patterns exist in their randomness, subtle waves that propagate through time and space. You perceive them as gentle vibrations, faint but persistent, a reminder that the universe maintains order even in apparent disorder. You notice how cycles overlap and intersect. Galaxies collide, triggering bursts of star formation. Stellar winds shape surrounding nebulae. Black holes consume and release energy, influencing the motion of nearby stars. These interactions are not isolated events. Each one resonates with the others, creating feedback loops that amplify the cosmic rhythm. Everything is connected. The rhythm extends to the scale of light itself. Photons travel in straight lines, yet their interactions with matter and gravity create patterns of reflection, refraction, and lensing. The waves of light themselves carry information about motion, mass, and energy. As you follow a beam across light years, you sense the intricate beat of the universe, encoded in every oscillation. You become aware that you are part of this rhythm, not merely an observer. Every atom in your body has participated in cosmic cycles before, moving through stars, planets, and interstellar space. As you float through the vastness of space, the concept of time begins to blur. Seconds, minutes, years, all of them are measurements rooted in the motion of planets and stars. But here, in the emptiness beyond the last pulses of matter, they lose their meaning. You feel time as a landscape rather than a sequence, a terrain stretching in all directions simultaneously. You consider the life cycle of stars, the rise and fall of galaxies, and the slow evaporation of black holes. These processes once defined the flow of cosmic time. But now, without the usual markers, time itself seems to fold and curl upon itself. Past, present, and future appear as layers, overlapping and coexisting, like sheets of fabric pressed together. You sense the universe thinking, not linearly, but all at once. In this place, change is subtle yet inevitable. Matter and energy continue their interactions, even if imperceptible. Quantum fluctuations ripple through the vacuum, hinting at possibilities rather than events. You realize that time may be an emergent property, dependent on interactions rather than a fundamental backdrop. Without motion and difference, what is time but potential? You imagine the end of stars, galaxies, and black holes. The universe has cycled through creation and destruction countless times. Perhaps these cycles are endless, with each iteration slightly different. The concept of before and after loses significance when you view it on this scale. Each phase folds into the next, forming an eternal loop of birth, life, death, and rebirth. If time is cyclical, then the universe is not approaching an absolute end. Instead, it is continually renewing itself, though the intervals are vast beyond comprehension. What seems like ultimate darkness may be a prelude to another cosmic dawn. Matter may collapse and expand again, energy may organize and disperse, and the faint ripples left behind in the vacuum may seed the next generation of stars. You feel a quiet awe at the vastness of this perspective. Human history, planetary evolution, even the lifespan of stars is infinitesimal in comparison. Time here is not a line to be followed but a landscape to explore, a rhythm that stretches beyond comprehension. The cycles of the cosmos persist, but the intervals are so vast that you must adopt a different sense of duration, one measured in epochs and eons rather than seconds. Your mind drifts further. Could multiple universes exist, each with its own flow of time, its own cycles of creation and decay? Perhaps what seems eternal here is merely one pattern among countless others. Each universe could be a bubble, expanding, contracting, and interacting in ways invisible to you. Time in one may differ completely from time in another, bending in directions you cannot imagine. Even in this abstract contemplation, you feel a connection. Your consciousness, fleeting and brief, participates in the universal patterns. You carry with you the echoes of stars and galaxies, the memory of matter and energy that has passed through countless cycles. In this way, you are both observer and participant, an extension of the rhythms that define existence. The notion of beginnings and endings begins to fade. Each moment is a bridge, connecting the last cycle to the next. Every fluctuation in the quantum field, every faint photon traveling across empty space, carries the potential for new forms, new structures, new life. Time beyond time is not emptiness, it is possibility. You realize that eternity itself may be cyclical, not static. Death and rebirth are universal principles, operating across scales beyond comprehension. The universe is not lost in time, it moves through it in an endless, gentle pattern, a rhythm that is invisible yet undeniable. And as you drift in this timeless expanse, a faint glimmer of light appears in the distance. Not a star, not a galaxy, but something that hints at emergence, at the continuation of cycles yet unseen. You understand, in a way that goes beyond thought, that even here, beyond known time, creation waits quietly for its next breath. As you drift through the remnants of the universe, you begin to understand your place in it. Every particle in your body has traveled through time and space, passing through stars, planets, and countless generations of matter. You are composed of elements forged in ancient supernovae, recycled and reassembled over billions of years. In a sense, you are the universe made conscious. You watch the slow movement of distant galaxies, the faint glimmer of newly forming stars, and the lingering ripples of gravity from vanished black holes. Each event, each particle, each wave is part of a vast, interconnected story. And as a conscious observer, you become aware not just of what exists, but of what has been and what may yet come. Being a witness to this vastness changes your perception of self. The boundaries of your body, your mind, and your lifespan seem small against the scale of time and space. Yet you are not insignificant. Your awareness is part of the universe's memory. By observing, by thinking, by existing, you participate in the ongoing record of existence. You realize that the cosmos is a continuous chain of interactions, and every observer contributes to it. Your thoughts, your experiences, your consciousness are temporary yet meaningful ripples in the cosmic fabric. In witnessing, you connect the past to the future, tracing the flow of energy, matter, and information across time. The cycles you have observed, the birth and death of stars, the formation and evaporation of black holes, the emergence of galaxies, are not abstract concepts but living patterns in which you participate. You feel the rhythm of creation echoing in your own heartbeat, the same forces shaping galaxies shaping you at a smaller scale. Even as the universe approaches a state of quiet and stillness, you sense the continuity of its story. Every atom, every wave, every quantum fluctuation carries the imprint of what came before. By being aware, you become part of the chain that preserves and witnesses these events. You are, in a real sense, a living archive of the cosmos. Your consciousness allows you to see patterns invisible to machines or instruments. You notice connections across time and space, subtle resonances that reveal how everything is interdependent. The universe is not random. It is a complex web of cause and effect, and you are both observer and node within that web. As you reflect, you recognize that your perception is limited. You cannot see every star, every wave, every particle. Yet your mind fills in the gaps, imagining the vastness in ways that make sense to you. In doing so, you participate in the creative act of understanding, shaping the universe through comprehension. You feel a profound humility. The cosmos existed long before you, and it will continue long after. Yet your awareness allows you to witness infinity directly, to experience the universe's patterns and rhythms firsthand. This moment of consciousness is both fleeting and eternal, a unique convergence of matter, energy, and perception. In this understanding, you find a sense of belonging. You are not separate from the universe. You are its witness, its participant, and its reflection. Every beat of your heart mirrors the pulse of distant stars. Every thought traces the motion of galaxies. You are part of the infinite cycle you have observed, a living record of existence itself. And as you linger in this awareness, you feel a quiet anticipation, a subtle stirring at the edge of perception. The universe, though vast and ancient, still has more to reveal. There is still a story unfolding, and you are here to witness its next movement. The universe hums softly, a vibration felt more than heard, stretching across vast distances of space and time. Light and darkness have reached a balance, neither dominating, neither absent. You float in this equilibrium, sensing the gentle interplay of forces that have shaped existence for billions of years. The cosmos feels complete, yet not final, as if it rests only to begin anew. Stars have burned and faded, black holes have evaporated, and galaxies have dissolved into quiet streams of particles. Matter, energy, and the memory of interactions linger, forming a vast web of residual influence. You notice the faint traces of ancient waves moving across emptiness, stretching and folding into the void. Even in absence, the universe preserves its history. The glow of residual radiation warms your perception. It is subtle, almost imperceptible, but persistent. Photons travel in slow arcs across space, carrying fragments of light from stars long gone. They are gentle reminders of everything that has been, each particle a note in the universe's final lullaby. You feel the soft rhythm of these photons against your awareness, a calm pulse like a distant heartbeat. Gravity, now diminished in effect as matter spreads thin, still tugs lightly at scattered particles. Even as the cosmos approaches ultimate stillness, the patterns it has woven remain. Galaxies once collided, stars once exploded, and black holes once consumed, yet the echoes of these events persist, diffused into the cosmic fabric. You sense the interconnection of all things, a subtle thread tying beginnings and endings together. Time itself has slowed to a near halt. The distinction between past and future blurs. You feel moments as a continuous flow, a single, elongated present. Each microsecond stretches into eternity, allowing you to perceive the intricate interplay of forces with clarity. You notice how energy dissipates and matter spreads, but also how these processes prepare the groundwork for what may follow. Darkness is not emptiness. It is a cradle, holding the scattered remnants of creation. You feel it envelop you softly, protective rather than void. Light, now faint, dances across this darkness in delicate arcs, tracing paths that once contained activity and now preserve calm. This interplay feels natural, inevitable, and restful. You reflect on the cycles you have witnessed. Stars are born, die, and recycle their matter. Black holes consume, then evaporate. Nebulae gather, ignite, and fade. Everything moves in continuous cycles, and though the universe now rests, this pattern will eventually resume. The lullaby of light and darkness signals not only closure but readiness for what is to come. Your awareness aligns with this rhythm. You feel part of the cycle, a quiet observer sharing in the final resonance of existence. You are neither outside nor above it. You are entwined with every particle, every wave, every remnant of energy. The lullaby is as much yours as it is the universe's, a gentle acknowledgement of your presence within infinity. Even as light fades and darkness holds it, you sense potential. Tiny fluctuations in energy, almost imperceptible, stir across the void. They are faint, subtle, and easily overlooked, yet they suggest that even in apparent stillness, the universe is never truly inert. Possibility persists. You close your awareness to the distant echoes of movement, letting the soft harmony of light and dark wash over you. Your mind slows, your breath deepens, and your body aligns with the calm of the cosmos. Every thought dissolves into quiet understanding. The universe hums a final note, gentle and endless. You feel it resonate inside yourself, in your mind, in your awareness. Light fades, darkness cradles it, and together they form a balance that is both ending and beginning. You drift within this eternal lullaby, held by the weightless rhythm of creation itself. And as you rest in this moment, you understand that endings are not permanent. Every quiet holds the seed of potential. Every lullaby contains the possibility of awakening. In this balance of light and darkness, you feel the universe breathing, and you breathe with it, calm, complete, and ready for whatever comes next.